Your Poison Control Center.
I'm Mike Dabuski, ABC News.
Jumpin' July savings at Coons Market. Isn't that right, Frank Dentisi?
Right, Rob. In our meat department, all-natural pork baby back ribs are $2.99 a pound. In the produce department, sweet bicolor corn is 6 for $3. In our deli, Silver Star baked ham is $6.99 a pound. And additional savings this week, selected varieties of Coke, Sprite, or Dr. Pepper. 6-pack half-liter bottles, 4 for $15.
It's happening now at Coons Market, a Pittsburgh tradition.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred roofing replacement contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
Times of sun and clouds, warm and humid this afternoon, high 86. Partly cloudy to clear skies tonight, low 67. Tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, quite warm and humid. Tomorrow's high 88. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
And now,
often imitated,
but never duplicated.
Lenny McAllister.
The way we bring back America and bring people together is by making sure we hold everybody accountable in a 360 fashion.
Yes, there is a change that we can believe in, but it will never come from a politician or a government program.
Lenny McAllister. Well spoken.
We got to move away from the American Idol soundbite nature of politics back to the American statesman of humble servant leadership that we used to see in politics.
If we get some common sense governance from both sides of the aisle, we can finally get Americans through the recession, not just Wall Street.
Principles of politics. I'd rather have principles. I speak to the kids in the street. Well, I'm never going to lay down being conservative just as much as I'll never lay down being a proud African American.
I feel like a black public money I got coming in. Can't turn my back on the hood. I got love for them.
Well, look who is back in studio. It's kind of a sort of sunny Sunday, so I guess we'll officially deem it so. Happy Sunny Sunday here. Lenny McAllister, you and I together on News Radio KDK, whether you're listening on 100.1 FM or AM 1020, or the Odyssey app, if you're doing that interwebs thing. It's all the same historic station. We've been here since 1920. I have not been here since 1920, but if I did, I would say that I would look very, very good for my age. That said, phone lines shall be open eventually, not immediately. Don't demand things. You can demand the yellow van here. You cannot demand that I open up the phone lines at 866-391-1020. I will do that at my own pace, at my own time, and at my own time in choosing. That said, I'm looking forward to having two wonderful guests on the air with me, starting at the middle of this hour. Actually, not even the middle of this hour, the middle of this half hour. Producer Mike's going to be guest Mike. And the reason why he's going to be guest Mike today is because he's a smart guy. But I've told you that before. That's not a shock. So he and I are going to vibe a little bit, start with the reflection of America 250, because some of you all got all jazzed up. It happened last weekend, and you forgot about it. Funny, by the way, I'm going to get in the other part I'm excited about today, where there's a sign that does say forget about it, which is kind of cool. But that said, many of you all forgot about it when it came to America 250. All the things that we said that we are as a nation, all the things that we said that we would do as a nation as a result of America 250, you all are already on to the next thing, the next cookout, the next festival. Hey, are we really halfway through the summer already? Yes, we are. So Mike and I are going to kind of talk about several things that should remind you all to get it back on track. 3 o'clock hour, I'm going to talk to a legend from around these parts. Again, look, I'm from Penn Hills. You know I'm from Penn Hills. I brag about St. Bart's University. I brag about Penn Hills. And so I get a chance to do that yet again. This guy wasn't part of St. Bart's University, I don't think. But he, tangentially, because we shared coaches, I guess he's like an honorary alum, if you will. You know how people get like the honorary degrees, they get the honorary doctorate, like, literally Mike Tyson is officially Dr. Mike Tyson because he got some type of honorary doctorate. Well, Drew Schiaffino is part of an the honorary member of St. Bart's University because we share a college, some coaches, some college cohorts of his were part of the university of mine before they went to a real university, even though St. Bart's University is a real university. If you don't know about that, you just don't know. Just saying. Drew's going to be in with me because he is taking, and you all know I'm real big on second acts. He is taken a second act in life that is a fantastic trajectory. Makes me wonder what's in the water because, long and short of it, for those of you that do not follow DrewShafino.com, he has been writing. He's getting a lot of traction for somebody that's written books and has just launched his own website. But if you think about it, don't forget about it, think about it. Damon Young, Penn Hills, Hooper. Drew Shafino, Penn Hills, Hooper. Lenny McAllister, not a Hooper, from Penn Hills, not as tall as either one of them, not the Hooper either one of them were, but I do write, so that kind of puts me in the mix with them. It's kind of cool that the second largest municipality in Allegheny County, and a place that to me was a very special place to grow up, particularly between the 70s, 80s, and 90s in particular. Lot of cultural richness that came out of Penn Hills. Black, white, rich, poor, athletics, academics, extracurricular. Penn Hills had a lot of things coming out of there over those 3 decades, particularly those 3 decades. One could make the case, and once you start going to Aaron Donald, you start going into a 4th decade-ish. That said, Drew's going to come in to talk about his books, talk about his website, talk about the pivots that he's had in his life, and why his perspective matters these days. So I have some interesting questions for him. I have some interesting thoughts I have on what he's doing. I see that he's getting a lot of traction. Had an opportunity to sit down and vibe with him. Then, of course, that shared coach came in while we were vibing. We'll talk about that. That kind of said, okay, Bet, I see the trail magic in this. I'm going to run with it. Speaking of trail magic, before I go to break, before I bring on producer Mike, who's going to be guest Mike for the rest of hour number 1, I got to shout out somebody. I have a couple people I'm going to shout out eventually. One I talked to earlier this morning, and I'm looking forward to reconnecting with him again. I'll tease that a little bit. I got to do Proud Papa for just a second, though. Kind of kept this on the DL a little bit, but I'm not anymore. My wonderful son, you all have heard of my kiddo that, the football player that's in the band that does all these other things. Well, he's now at Cambridge studying for a couple of weeks. Not the one up 95, neither. Now, for me, there's a lot of different emotions I have about this, and that's why I'm just going to publicly say it. Number one, to be an American at this time when people don't respect America as much as they used to, and still get the opportunity to win a scholarship to go study at such a historical site, learning facility, university, something that's been important in world history for centuries. Not just, America 250 is great, but think about how long Oxford, Cambridge, Jesus College have been around. It dwarfs America 250. He gets to be a part of that. Number 2, not a lot of kids from the Pittsburgh metropolitan area get a chance to do this. And to be one of those kids, and this is part of what we need in this region anyway, to be one of those kids that can touch the outer world while at the same exact time being part of who we are in southwestern Pennsylvania. I'm just proud and honored that my wonderful son gets a chance to do this. Number 3. Sorry, not trying to get all blackety black in this place, but I'm going to get blackety black for a second. To be an African-American young man with a big old curly afro that is a proud African-American kid, proud Catholic, proud to be from Pittsburgh, and to be able to represent our city, our state, our faith, and our family at such a historic site and be part of just the historical fabric of that place. I don't take it lightly. I'm glad he doesn't take it lightly. Just to watch him walk off to the gate earlier this week, he reminded me of Snoopy. He just was so cool about it. And that's not something I could have done at 16 years old. I just commend him. We love him. We're very proud of him. And I just wanted to shout him out. It's funny because when you do the types of things that I do, when you have the platform that I have, it's really interesting with your kids because they're used to you being on TV. They're used to you being on the radio. They're used to you giving speeches or whatever else. So there's this weird dynamic of that's the dude that's making me take out the garbage, getting on my nerves. But also that's the dude that other people know that I share with the world or with the community or with an event that I'm at. So they don't always get the shine that they deserve. And I know that all four of my kids at some point in time have gone through that. Less the older ones because, when they were this age, they weren't quite doing the same exact things. Well, maybe like 10 and 11. When they got a little older, I was. But for the younger ones, I've been doing this their whole lives. So sometimes they don't get the shine that they deserve. And I just wanted to take this moment to reflect just how proud we are of him to go over. And this isn't a vacation. He's going to be studying. He just went to another conference and won an award down in D.C. not that long ago. To go and study, to be better, to be in an environment where you're around participants from 30 different countries. It's kind of cool. So I just want to commend my son. I love him very, very much. I know his mother is very proud of him. I know his siblings are very proud of him. And I know his school community is very proud of him. And if he's listening on the other side of the pond, just want to let him know that we love him. We're thinking about him. And it's hard to believe that he's already been over there for a couple of days. He's going to be rocking and rolling and doing his thing. And he's getting a chance to experience World Cup soccer with England going to the semis, which is pretty cool too. That said, I'm going to break. Afterwards, talking to Mike, we're going to vibe on America 250 and other things. So stick around. Good radio for the next couple of hours. I got two guests. Then I'll have you on at 866-391-1020. But I need to take a break because I need a sip of water and I need just some distance. So respect my space. But come back. You're on News Radio, KDKA.
Your source for official traffic information. Hear it on News Radio KDKA.
And Doug.
Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons. And lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
And the match is about to begin.
Most of the team is out with COVID-19, so there'll be some substitutes tonight.
What's this? We have an unexpected guest on the field.
It's a dog. Well, they could do with extra players.
She's going for the ball.
Are front paws hands or feet?
Soccer season is full of surprises, and COVID-19 could be one of them. If you test positive, prescription medications may help. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Learn more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
The KDKA radio text line is driven by Kenny Ross Auto Group. Find your best deal and Pittsburgh's best warranty at kennyross.com.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
All right, like I said, I told y'all, producer Mike's not going to be guest Mike, and not just for a hot second. You heard us talk about Death by Lightning, and that was fascinating. Look, first and foremost, I got to tell you, I got to move this screen. We got to be eye to eye. That's the thing. We don't usually get a chance to talk eye to eye on the air. It's usually through some glass, which is not really cool. So I get to talk eye to eye. First thing, and I told you this when we did this with Death by Lightning, my wife loved the segments. She absolutely loved your contribution. She said the host could have kind of, picked it up a little bit, but she loved the guest doing that. So I said, I know. I talk to him about this all the time. We just don't get a chance to go on the air. So I mentioned that I would bring Mike on the air and have a fuller segment. So I appreciate you doing this, kind sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Let's start with this. Am I wrong to think that people have kind of been like, yeah, America 250, yeah, woohoo, and then like, okay, America 250. When are we having our next cookout? It seems as though this moment went past with a whimper, not a bang.
Yes, and you're not wrong for thinking that. A lot of the people in our country is divided, and I hate to say that it's divided more than ever. And you keep saying 250. 250 may seem like a lot, but for a country, that's still relatively young for a nation that's still, we're trying to find our current footing. We've always had our footing for the last 100 or so years once we became that power, but now we're trying to find a new footing in this society.
No, it's funny you mentioned that because because we don't know our history, and I know you know your history. I remember that from like the first week we worked together. You said, look, I'm a history buff, and people say that, and then you give them a quote like, okay, when was the Louisiana Purchase? You're like, 1963? Like, you're not as much of a history buff as you think you are. However, you know your stuff. You mentioned something that most people forget about, which is this. America wasn't a power for 250 years. America has been around since 1776, but we haven't been the United States of America that we have lived in for 250 years. And this would seem like a good time for us to kind of remember all the different iterations that America's been.
Correct. And again, we came into that power from the Industrial Revolution that really sparked it and started it all. And then by the time we hit 1900, we're up there with Great Britain, who we're seeing a decline. But now, in this day and age, I might get to the end of my life and not see us as the global superpower that we've always read in the textbooks in school that we were, that defined us during World War II, that helped elevated us to that stardom.
And Mike, it's funny because we think about superpower. We got into World War I, our military wasn't necessarily ready. We got into World War II, our military wasn't necessarily ready. And on top of that, and we're just talking about this from a civic perspective, both times we were divided as a nation. Let Europe do Europe's things. And I bring that up less to talk about, war history, but to talk about the history of being a superpower. We also, unfortunately, have fooled ourselves, right or wrong. You can tell me if I'm correct about this or not. We have fooled ourselves into thinking that superpower is solely defined by winning wars, not all the other things that the United States of America has been as a superpower. Am I correct? Incorrect? What do you think about that?
No, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. And like that could be defined by economy, our communication, our relations with other countries, how we present ourselves as a nation, handling stuff. That's why global affairs is also important, because you're setting that example and what's wrong or what's right in the world. And I think that is really the essence of the American project, is to always been to redefine ourselves, to reinvent ourselves. And we've seen that over and over and over again. But now we got to see that again as we enter the next 50 years by the time we get America 300.
I talk about second acts in my book. And I'm obligated, or else I get electric shock. You've seen me get the electric shock from my PR team. I have to say a Venn diagram of one, an American story. Go look for it on Barnes & Noble and places where books are sold. Avoided the electric shock. That would have been really embarrassing to go through that with you in studio with me. But that said, I talk about second acts all the time in the book. And let's dive into this a little bit, because America 250 should be an invitation for not just collectively for us to think about second acts, but individually to think about second acts. Part of the reason why you're in studio with me is because, you're an ambitious young guy that's been doing his thing behind the glass. You've had an opportunity to come on the air several times, and it's about that evolution, that more perfect Mike, if you will. We've seemed to have forgotten about the more perfect union, and in some instances, even the more perfect versions of ourselves as we've hit 250.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just really finding our footing and going into this day and age. Like for me, I'm 25 years old, entering this economy. I gotta redefine myself, reinvent myself. I mean, the unemployment rate for people my age, post-college graduates, it's steadily increasing. And it hasn't been doing that since COVID. So, I mean, that's a real red flag right there. And especially in job fields like media, accounting, the ones that attract the younger audience, the younger generation like me, myself, we got to find ways to redefine ourselves, reinvent ourselves, and just overall, like, just adapt to a new strategy. Try what works, what doesn't work. And that's what I think we need to do.
Well, it's interesting because when we talk about patriotism, it's very hard for the everyday American, Mike, to sit there and put it into a context of patriotism in a secular, everyday fashion. How should we be thinking about America 250 and patriotism in the context of what you said, which is, hey, my generation, you know, the workforce engagement number, the civic workforce participation rates have been going down. 25 for 54 dropped significantly, dropped 0.4 of a percentage point in June from May. The types of jobs that your generation is looking for are steadily not becoming available. Patriotism is more than just waving a flag. Patriotism is, how do you make that work for the emerging American generations? How should we be looking at that?
I mean, I think that we need to really reimagine the relationship between us, the citizens, and the government to just better reflect today's needs. And some of that in the Constitution could be a little outdated, but we need to redefine that. And whether that's based on the voting structures or just being overall transparent with us, the people, I think that's a good start to where we need to go.
Well, and before we go to break, and we're going to continue this conversation through to the top of the three. When we think about that, do you really think that your generation and the emerging generations, even the generation before you and then the ones coming after you, do you think that they still view America from the quote-unquote patriotic lens that we've been told about over the years? Because older generations are very much like, get off my lawn. They're not really patriotic. But then I talk to you. I talk to my older children, and the pride in being American is there, even if they're not proud of some of the things that America has done in their name. Well, that's not new either. That's been around here for 250 years, where the younger generation's like, you shouldn't have done that. That's the whole purpose of the First Amendment, that redress of your government if you disagree.
Yeah, and to answer your question, I want to say it's yes and no. I can't really definitively say one or the other because, again, that goes back to our nation really being divided, and it's divided by competed narratives just throughout our history, whether it's through the constant rollbacks we're seeing and what is considered historic change. Again, it's those competing narratives that, like, where some still believe we're that global superpower while others know we're not necessarily that anymore. So yes and no.
Do you think it's a loss of moral authority? You think it's a loss of economic strength? Do you think it's just we're fatigued with the politics? What do you think's driving it?
I think it's a combination of all three of what you just said there to hit the nail on the head.
But which one do you think is leading? Not if it's not. I know it's not 33 with like one other. But if there was one that was a little bit more of the mix, one that was a plurality of the others, which one do you think it is?
I do want to say the economic drive here. That's really what started a lot of this. I mean, gas is a big thing. What is leading the stories right now?
Yeah.
The Strait of Hormuz. It's closed. Guess what? Gas prices are going to rise. People aren't going to be happy. It's just really our economy. I mean, we're seeing that increased wealth gap get higher, bigger, larger, and it's just, I think that's really one of the driving forces.
I think you're right. And we're going to come back and talk to Mike after this. The truth is, we've seen throughout our history that when economics go bad, all the other isms that kind of divide our country crop up. I'm going to continue to talk to Mike after the news, enjoying this conversation as I always do with him, but stick around for it here on News Radio KDKA.
Let me tell you something about insurance. When you sign your insurance policy, for some brokers, that's the finish line. Handshake, commission, done. Then you may not hear from them again until it's time for renewal. But your business runs all year, so do the gaps and the risk. So go to supersure.com. If your company has more than 25 employees, whether you're the owner, CFO, or HR manager, it can be too complex to just go buy a policy online. Supersure is the super agency built for you, licensed in every state for your business insurance and employee benefits, all with year-round support for you and your team. At Supersure.com, you can access tools like fine print facts. It'll translate your current policy into plain English so you see what's covered and what's not. Plus a business value calculator so you can estimate what your business is worth so you know what actually needs protecting. Go to Supersure.com. One super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. Supersure.com. That's Supersure.com. Paid for by Supersure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency.
SchultzFord.com. 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 SchultzFord.com.
When you call yourself the voice of Pittsburgh, you have to know when to not talk. Sometimes you just need to be the ears of Pittsburgh. Just listen. Listen to what you have to say. These are complicated and uncertain times. But when you need us, we are here for you. And we're listening. A trusted source that you can count on to be here. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
From the Aetna Medicare studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. Lawmakers are marking the passing of Lindsey Graham, the South Carolina Republican who died overnight at the age of 71. His office says it was due to a brief and sudden illness. Fellow South Carolina Senator Tim Scott calling Graham irreplaceable. Tensions in the Middle East are ramping up again after several Gulf countries report they're under attack from Iran, just hours after the U.S. completed a third round of retaliatory strikes overnight. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, spoke to ABC's This Week earlier today.
Is the Iranian regime just completely out of control? Who are we ultimately negotiating with? And if that is to be believed, then where is the discipline?
And California fire officials have lifted evacuation orders for L.A. County as they say they've now stopped the forward progress of the Summit wildfire. This is ABC News.
Join Beth Andrews for the Net Worth Financial Hour Saturdays at 1 to get the news and information you need to make your retirement dream a reality. That's the Net Worth Financial Hour with Beth Andrews, Saturdays at 1. Net Worth Advisors, LLC is a registered investment advisor.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside, and just last year, I made nearly $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like extra cash, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill your tank. Use promo code CHIEF to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CHIEF for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code CHIEF for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Life-changing is happening every day at UPMC.
With the work that we do here at UPMC and Environmental Services, we are here to make everyone's work possible. With cleaning an operating room and keeping it sterile, it's not just one person, it's 5, 6 of us coming into the room, being part of the environmental services that keeps the hospital clean and up and running. It's a beautiful thing.
That's life-changing medicine at UPMC.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
Pittsburgh and Cranberry Township. Joseph Cordell. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
Alex Goen patented hypnosis. Stop smoking, no cravings, irritability, or weight gain. Walk in a smoker, walk out free. Only $59.99 or your money back. In town July 23rd. Sign up at alexgoen.com. That's alexgoen.com.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon, warm and humid, high 86. Partly cloudy this evening, then clear later tonight, low 67. More sun than clouds tomorrow, quite warm and humid, high 88. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
All right, let me go ahead and continue this conversation because I think it's fascinating, and I always enjoy, Mike, first of all, you and I enjoy vibing with you. The unfortunate thing is, more often than not, it ends up being for 3 minutes at a time while I'm walking back and forth between breaks, and it's a quick question, a quick comment, and then we go from there. We don't get a chance to do this, so I'm really digging the fact we're doing this. The other reason why I enjoy doing this with you and with others from your ilk, from your generation, is the fact that we can't sit there and say you're the emerging generations, the next generation of American leaders, blah, 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 blah. And then when you say something about how you feel, what you're experiencing, what your American story is like, kind of poo-poo it and be like, oh, you'll outgrow it. No, everybody's generation went through something different. And as a result, you got to talk about that, whether it's at the federal level or here locally, whether it's Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, the tri-state area and the like. We continuously have a hard time attracting and bringing in young people. I mean, we celebrate if we barely keep enough young people in the region. When you look at other regions, it's different. When you look at Pittsburgh, and you're a Pittsburgher, you and I are native Pittsburghers, we grew up here. When you look at Pittsburgh as a 25-year-old, and then you may call friends that live in other cities, other regions, when you compare notes, what do you usually hear or see in those comparisons?
The one thing that always stands out in Pittsburgh to me, that is what the driving force, especially for this job market, this economy, AI, robotics, healthcare, and real estate. Those are really just the core four for me, especially a demographic shift to like some of the white collar jobs and some of the blue collar jobs to today. I think those four are really what is defining Pittsburgh today.
And good or bad, because I mean, to me, look, I look at other regions that I've gone to. I'm going to go to Dallas in a couple of days. I'm giving a speech there at a conference. And I know Pittsburgh's not Dallas in regards to the size. I know it's not in Texas with some of the natural resources that have been in Texas for years. The flip side is, if you talk to some people, you hear, well, we have natural gas. We could be using that. There are people that are saying, Pittsburgh should become the next Houston. There's a lot of people that do not want Pittsburgh to really grow the way Pittsburgh could grow. So I know I look at other regions and I go, wouldn't it be nice if Pittsburgh or this region were bigger by 15, 20% in population, that people weren't going to collar counties and we had different types of jobs here other than the four that you listed?
I want to say good. I want to answer that and say good. I mean, a lot of people are viewing this as the third Pittsburgh Renaissance. I mean, we've had two before. A lot of people are considering this as the third one. And we're seeing a lot of change. A lot of the vacant office buildings downtown are being turned into residential venues or just like spaces of living. We also see a lot of the riverfront projects just being honed in on. I know an Esplanade is coming to Pittsburgh as well. I want to say good. We also have a new mayor in office. He seems like he's passionate about what he does. I hope he's passionate. I mean, if you're not passionate about making change, especially in that type of job field, then I don't know what to tell you. But
get another job in 3.5 years. That's basically what it would be.
Yeah. But I do want to say, yes, there's a lot of positive change going on here. And that's what makes me hopeful for being a Pittsburgher. I mean, I just live right outside the Pittsburgh area in West Mifflin. I'm really anticipating good change here to come for Pittsburgh. Sure, we have a homeless problem. I mean, compared to some of the other bigger cities, homelessness is always touched upon here. I want to see how that could be addressed. I mean, there's other stuff with like street pavings, a lot of blight in some of our neighborhoods that, I want to see what we can turn that into, what we can attract residents into neighborhoods that haven't been really flourishing since the end of the steel mill era.
So let's vibe on that for just a second, because localized pockets of renaissance, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, and I'd love to get your perspective because you've been here your whole life. You study these things as well. To me, Pittsburgh is a microcosm of what we've been complaining about federally, where you have a K-shaped economy here in Pittsburgh. If you're part of the haves, Pittsburgh is a great place to live. You can live in a safe neighborhood. You can find access to jobs, and you can have a decent white-collar job and continue to advance because you're connected. If you're on the other side of that K, it's worse, and it's been sliding down like that for years on end, where the people that are caught on the lower half of that K, in order to find their second acts, has to leave Pittsburgh. Now, sometimes they come back. I'm a Pittsburgh boomerang myself. But is it fair to say that some of the things we complain about in the national economy that's been going on seems to happen here as well?
Yeah, it's completely fair to say that. And yeah, it's just the wealth disparity, the wealth gap, I think, has a big factor in that, especially with the middle class, and it's forcing people who have good ideas, that could change our economy. They're going to other places with, that could better suit them.
Yeah, so I guess, and this is kind of blending the two, right? Talking to producer Mike, who is guest Mike, and Mike is Mike, and, yeah, he's not Mikey from Life Cereal. Dating myself. You don't even remember that commercial, do you? No, he doesn't, of course not. Dating myself. Let's blend the two together. What does it look like to be patriotic in Western Pennsylvania when it comes to the things we were talking about in the first segment in regards to patriotism is more than just waving a flag? This is what patriotism looks like when it comes to an economy. This is what patriotism looks like when it comes to bringing more people into your culture. This is what patriotism looks like to make a more cohesive America. Let's apply that to the Pittsburgh metropolitan region, whether it's Allegheny County or Butler County or Beaver County or Westmoreland County or the tri-state. What would that look like to you over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, to start off, you got to be proactively involved in that. A lot of people say this needs to happen. We got to do this. We got to do that. But they're not doing anything. You got to sit down with your community. You got to get stuff going. Events. You got to, of course, you got to support local businesses. Pittsburgh has such a rich history with stuff like that it's hard for me not to see why we can't do more with it. Why we can't add on to. Why can't we reinforce that with new ideas while still keeping the same?
I'm going to take that theme even further. It seems like a lot of us, when it comes to America 250, are very nostalgic about an America that does not currently exist. And there's a lot of people, when you talk about this region, are nostalgic for Pittsburgh that does not currently exist. One, is that a fair statement? And two, if it is, if it's not, tell me why. If it is, how do we make it so it doesn't stay that way?
Yes, and nostalgia can go both ways. Like how you just said, it can drive a negative force of people just sitting back on it, and it could drive a positive force on trying to reinforce that, making us proud to be a Pittsburgher based on this history. On how we can change that, I necessarily don't have the answer, but like I said, it's about just being proactive.
But high level. So I'm not asking for a policy, the conversation or a policy solution, but as a resident of this region, of somebody that's a native of this region, what are the types of things, even culturally or just from a perspective level, what might need to shift or double down on? Maybe it's not so much of we have to change doing something, whether it's American or Pennsylvanian. It might be, hey, we forgot about that. I mean, I talk about that in the book all the time. I talk about how we forgot about these values. We need to double down on them, not necessarily abandon them.
Yeah, again, going back to it, what was one of the changes to some of the mills? Like driving down here, Technology Drive, just seeing that mill being converted into an AI area that, has so far, in my opinion, has flourished. I think you're using some of the old areas like they did with that, and they made it better. They enriched it. I saw a football field was built just outside of Hazelwood. I think that's great for what they're doing in this area. I like some of the ideas that they're bringing to the table. Just having new ideas and all, just that can really move progress, and again, come in to get a middle ground deal. I mean, a lot of the times with America 250, a lot of us are just set in our ways, whether we're blinded by nostalgia. America should be like this. This is how we should be. But at the same time, maybe America 250, we're not like this so more. We need to be this way, and how so? And I know that's very broad.
No, because it actually sparks this next question, which is this. You talk about America 250. I was actually going to go back out nationally again. How should we be redefining greatness? Because I think the thing that people forget about looking at the America 250 story is the definition of American greatness has changed over the course of 250 years. Greatness in 1776 is not the same as greatness in 1820, which is not the same idea of greatness in 1863 versus the idea of greatness in the 1890s and so forth and so on. What are we missing that would make America its truest definition of greatness at America 250 and moving forward for the next, let's say, 10 to 20 years? What do you think?
Being able probably to have livability in this, I think just that is what we're getting so far away of. And again, going back to that middle class, seeing that disparity. What made America the superpower it was coming out of World War II? I mean, a lot of that was that middle class. I mean, if you're blinded by nostalgia, that's what a lot of people go to, is that middle class, proud. You know, they love working that 9-to-5 job, but you're able to support a family of 4 and just being able to live comfortably while having something like that. I think that's what we're getting so far away of. And again, that's going back to the economic driving force of this country and of this city. And it's good to see Pittsburgh making progress, making steps. A lot of people calling it the third Renaissance. But I want to see more. I want to see to some of the other neighborhoods that haven't really got to experience that. What can we do for that community where we can start with? I mean, a grocery store. A lot of people, having needs for a grocery store. Yep. Food. Like, a lot of people got to go out of the city just to get their basic needs met. And we got to see changes like that made.
I'm going to come back and finish this hour with Mike. Phone lines will be open eventually. I'm bringing in Drew Safino at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. I'm fascinated to hear, because again, it's interesting to me, Mike, because you're from one generation. Drew's between the generation between you and me, and there's just different perspectives on all this. But stick around. We're going to do that after the break here on News Radio KDKA.
Every Tuesday morning at 7:20, listen for Inside Independence Health, a look at all things healthcare with the experts from Independence Health System. It's brought to you by Independence Health System. Expert care here.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-358-6868. That's 800-358-6868. Again, 800-358-6868.
There's a world of opportunity out there, beyond the typical 9 to 5, where purpose and grit come together. Where the American spirit and ingenuity are welcomed in places that could really use your skills and your experience. We're talking about the Peace Corps. With volunteers living and working in communities around the globe. And it's been called the toughest job you'll ever love. Tough, because it asks so much of you. To dig deeper, get your hands dirty, to go that extra mile, to rise to the occasion and meet challenges head on. And the love part comes from being part of something bigger than yourself. From building bonds that last a lifetime. It's knowing your hard work transformed lives, including your own. After 65 years, the Peace Corps is still the toughest job you'll ever love. Explore opportunities in more than 60 countries. Learn about benefits and apply at peacecorps.gov/serve.
Have you or a loved one recently needed nursing home care? This can be very expensive, and you can lose your life savings without proper planning. The attorneys at Julian Gray Associates have helped thousands of families navigate these difficult situations. Visit grayelderlaw.com.
Ms. Fernandez, what are those tiny things?
Those are what we call amoebas. You can only see them through a microscope.
Wow.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, there's a funding crisis in public schools. Millions of kids go to schools that don't have funding for books, computers, and so much more just because of where they live. You can help change that. Donors Choose is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. You choose which supplies to support. You could provide first graders with pencils and paper, or other students with their first chapter books, help a music class get a guitar.
You could even supply a classroom like mine with a science project. But what you're really giving is the moment that sparks a brighter tomorrow.
To learn more, please visit DonorsChoose.org. That's DonorsChoose.org. Choose students. Shape the future.
SchultzFord.com. 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 SchultzFord.com.
Let me finish up this wonderful conversation. We will have to do this again because, this is what people don't get about the producers here. One, they think that you're just sitting here just kind of like pushing buttons or whatever, and it's insulting. I hate that. I mean, you all not only do a really good job producing the shows, but this is what people miss. You all are getting all this information from all these topics that are coming through, and because you're also, you're educated, college educated and the like, you're coming with all these opinions that are influencing your lives. And with that said, what are the best ways for people to be able to apply what we're talking about? I mean, again, we're talking about America 250. We're talking about the region. We're talking about economics. We're talking about redefining American greatness. What's the one takeaway? As you've been listening to all these things over the years that you've been here, what's the one nugget that seems to travel through all the storylines?
Division. I mean, division is what causes a lot of the problems nowadays, in my opinion, that I see. And whether that's the older generation not wanting to change, not wanting to hear the other side compared to the newer generation on what they think is the future, I think you got to have a bridge that is able to connect all generations, different sides, whether it's a political party, a political spectrum, and viewership, just everything that I see. I think having a bridge, being able to connect, come into that middle ground, because we just lose sight of that sometimes to get progress done, whether it's little, big, huge, you got to get some sort of progress done. Some progress is better than no progress.
Do you think it's viable? I mean, I almost asked that facetiously. I wrote a book saying it was. So put that aside. Do you feel like, as a 25-year-old, dealing with this economy, dealing with this division, and yes, it's not 1860 Civil War division, but this is certainly not 1984, we're all Americans, 4 years after Lake Placid in the 84 Olympics type of unity either. Do you think that it's viable to start getting past the division, or do you think that this is like the new normal for the next 20 to 25 years? We've already been doing this for 25 years. People forget that after 9/11 we were united and then we weren't, and ever since then, we've had these pockets of division going on now, and it's been going on now for about 20 years.
I don't want to say that that's the new normal, but I mean, we're really seeing this being reflected on by a lot of our leaders, causing division. Just, I hate to say it might be the new normal, but it just might as well be. And that's a sad thing to say, but at the same time, we got to see some change. And yes, I agree with you. Whether how small it is, if you're showing change, you're showing that you're hearing the people out, that you're trying to get something through the door to help everybody. So even if it's the smallest change in this current society, I think that's where you got to start. And I hate to say that, division is the new norm, but yes, it is the new norm.
I'm going to ask you a deep question before I let you go, and I appreciate you coming on with me. This is fun. I know you're a history buff, right? If there were, I'm not going to give you one. I'm going to give you two. It's the same question, but I'm going to give you more than one option. I may even give you three, because we'll fill in the last 3 minutes of this. If there were three American leaders over the course of our history that whether you love or you studied or whatever, that you feel like would be great to come back into this time and fix this mess. If there were up to three, you may only have one, but up to three Americans to take from whatever era over 250 to come into now to fix the division, who would you pick?
The two that comes to mind would be Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt. I think those two are really the biggest, and a lot of people called Teddy Roosevelt a progressive, and they basically they kind of tried to exile him. A lot of these big corporations, they tried to exile him as vice president.
Yes, they did.
Unfortunately, McKinley was assassinated. Roosevelt took power, but he did a lot of stuff, a lot of great stuff. And Lincoln too. Even at the end of the Civil War with Lincoln, what was the one thing he tried to do? He wanted to unify us again. That's the whole reason why he elected Andrew Johnson as his vice president, just to unify this nation. The people that we took arms against, they're still our neighbors at the end of the day. And he tried to unify them. Unfortunately, he was assassinated, and a lot of the problems we see today were brought upon and started from Johnson due to, being a little less strict with some of the Southern sympathizers that we saw, that we had some of the issues, a lot of the civil rights mess that happened about 60 years ago, yes. Went back to Andrew Johnson just because of that leniency. But at the end of the day, Lincoln, you had to have a firm hand, but at the end of the day, they're still your neighbors. We got to find a middle ground, a common ground to bring them back in with us. And those are the two people that I would personally pick.
30 seconds. What one trait do you think those two leaders shared? I mean, it's fascinating too. People would probably expect Lincoln. They may not have expected TR. What's that one trait you think they both shared that would be instrumental these days?
I mean, they're called leaders for a reason. I mean, if you're not the president of the United States, I mean, the one thing is to lead this country, being able to lead it through better, through worse, to get us through that next door. And I think just being able to lead again.
It's a fantastic way to end this. You got to come back on with me, kind sir, all right?
Thank you for having me.
It's no problem at all. Mike's on the air with me, folks. 866-391-1020. I'm going from Mike to Drew, but I'm going to the news first on News Radio KDKA.
The Big K Morning Show with Larry Richards.
This is the Big K Morning Show. I heard about this couple that hit their 50th anniversary, and they're sitting on the front porch, and the wife says to the husband, "Honey, I'm proud of you." He said, "What?" He said, I'm proud of you. "What?" "I'm proud of you." He said, "I'm tired of you too."
Weekday mornings 5:30 to 10 on the Voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
The Village at St. Barnabas, the perfect place for mom.
Tickets for Kids will host a Dress Big Happy Hour on Wednesday, July 22nd from 4 to 7 p.m. in the Casamigos Club at PPG Paints Arena. Join sports celebrities and TFK's friends from the ticketing, nonprofit, corporate, and foundation communities for a silent auction, hors d'oeuvres, a cash bar, and the chance to play carnival games on the arena floor. For tickets, go to the events link at ticketsforkids.org.
Jumpin' July savings at Coons Market. Isn't that right, Frank Dentisi?
Right, Rob. In our meat department, boneless pork loin chops or roast. Buy one, get one of equal or lesser value for free. In the produce department, sweet Northwest cherries are $1.98 a pound. In our deli, Lana Lake's American cheese is $5.99 a pound. And additional savings this week, selected varieties of Pierre's ice cream, 48-ounce cartons, $3.99 each.
It's all happening now at Coons Market, a Pittsburgh tradition.
100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA, covered by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 platinum roofing company.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
KDKA and KDKA-FM HD2 Pittsburgh. W261AX Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
From ABC News, I'm Mike Dubosky. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham passed away overnight from a brief and sudden illness. According to a statement from his office, Graham had represented South Carolina for 23 years and was up for re-election this November.
Happy Mother's Day. Thank you very much.
Graham had just returned to Washington from Ukraine, where he met with President Zelensky on Friday. Zelensky writing on social media this morning, he is deeply saddened by the news of Graham's passing, adding, Lindsey was a true defender of freedom and the values that make our world safer.
ABC's Martha Raddatz. President Trump earlier today also weighing in on the passing on NBC's Meet the Press. The two men were political rivals in the lead up to the 2016 election before Graham became one of the president's staunchest advocates.
I got to know him by little drips and drabs, and then we became friendly, and there was no better advocate. He was a fantastic advocate in the Senate, and he could do things that other people. He was able to. If I had a really big problem with a certain Democrat, he could work it out.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster calling Graham the fiercest of fighters for South Carolina and America. He's expected to appoint a temporary replacement to finish the remainder of Graham's term. Talks in Oman to end the war in Iran have wrapped up without any clear path forward, and now the U.S. and Iran are once again trading strikes. ABC's Selena Wang has more.
Before these latest strikes, U.S. officials were actually optimistic about talks. In fact, a senior U.S. official said on Friday that the Iranians had privately told President Trump's advisors they screwed up and made a mistake in shooting at those ships. But now the fighting has resumed.
The Strait of Hormuz once again at the center of the renewed tensions, with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps saying that waterway is closed to traffic, something U.S. Central Command disputes. And severe rain once again in the forecast for much of the eastern half of the country. You're listening to ABC News.
Of all the wireless companies in America, and Doug.
Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons. And lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
Pittsburgh and Cranberry Township. Joseph Cordell. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
The KDKA AccuWeather Forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
Times of sun and clouds, warm and humid this afternoon, high 86. Partly cloudy to clear skies tonight, low 67. Tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, quite warm and humid. Tomorrow's high 88. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
All right, I told you I'm going to have Drew Shapiro on. I know cool people. You don't think I do, but I do. For those of you that don't remember, he played basketball at Pitt. He lost the bet, which is why he's wearing all his West Virginia stuff. That's our little joke. I'm just kidding. Drew, I appreciate you coming on, man. And first and foremost, I'm glad that we had a chance to sit down and vibe, because you and I had a chance to talk over this pivot that you have. Now, most people, look, I'm just gonna be raw with you to start off. We're still in the era of people saying, we all remember the whole everybody telling LeBron James, shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
They're not used to athletes having opinions. I mean, they are, but not still. Let alone having a writing career like you have. You've written books, but you're moving into something different. Writing about your career is one thing. Writing about your experiences is a different thing aside from that. You're now writing about the history of Southwestern Pennsylvania. You're talking about current events. You're talking about issues. You just interviewed somebody on the school board at Penn Hills where you and I grew up.
Yes.
Why this pivot? Why Drew Schiaffino doing this pivot into something that is literary, thoughtful, and different than the brand that you made as a professional athlete, college athlete, high school baller?
First of all, I want to say thanks for bringing me on. Last week, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
Had a good time at Starbucks. Actually, it was funny. We ran into Coach Paul Seneca.
Exactly.
That was my guy right there. You know, we go. Anybody from Penn Hills understand the history of Paul Seneca. But anyways, back to your thing about writing and the new media I got into. Like a lot of people don't know. Coming up, that was my first reading books and just writing was my love. Even when I was in college overseas, I kept a journal book. So I was a guy who always liked writing. Then even on Facebook, I used to write stories. People love my storytelling and people used to tell me to write a book, put a lot of this in my book, and at the time I didn't. I had stuff in my notes, I had stuff ready for a book, but just never gotten to writing a book, being an author. But I always had that passion to do it. I just never started to do it.
I mean, part of it, I guess, would have to imagine is, the identity, right? I mean, when you're identifying yourself as an athlete. I mean, I didn't play professionally. You played professional basketball. I know people know your story, West Virginia, Penn Hills, West Virginia, then overseas playing ball for years. I didn't get a chance to do that, but I identified as being a baseball player for a very long time. To make the transition in my head to, I can put this down. I also used to do these things as well. I know it was a little quicker for me because I didn't go as far athletically, but what was that like for you, specifically as an African-American that played ball in Europe, that played overseas, that was over there for a while, and you got a chance to experience a different part of global life, even as a dude from Penn Hills.
Yeah. It was. I think it was easier for me. A lot of people view me and their perception. I'm the basketball player. Obviously, that was my career, basketball. But anyone that
it's not your career anymore.
It's not my career anymore. But anyone that really people knew me basketball. I never liked basketball ever, though. I was just really good. I never trained. I never practiced. My love was more like crime shows. Instead of watching, you watching kids or watching basketball games, I'm at home watching with my mom, watching Unsolved Mysteries, America Most Wanted. That's always been my love right there. So a lot of people always thought this Drew Schiaffino guy was a guy who worked out every day, was in the gym all the time. And I was not in anyone, even dating. Obviously, my dad taught me to play basketball. But once I got older in high school and college, I stopped training. Guys want to get up 8, 9 in the morning to work out. I was nowhere to be found. At WVU, God stayed for 3 months in the summertime. I'm back in Pittsburgh. So it was funny, though. I come back, I never trained. I take the court. I'm still the best player. So I always looked at it like God gave me a gift. Then I felt like how my basketball career ended and how it played out, I took it for granted. Not working out, took it for granted. So now with this book, being an author, my website, God gave me a gift to write. So now I'm looking at it like I got to take advantage of this opportunity. A lot of people don't take advantage of what God bless you with. And now I'm looking at life different. I took basketball for granted. I could have went further in that. Still had a good college career, but I had pro written all on me. I didn't take it serious. And now with the writing and being an author and just stuff like that with my media, now I'm taking it serious and I'm not taking it for granted.
Well, it's interesting that you would say that because you and I, we talked at Starbucks, and we have mutual friends because of St. Bart's University in Penn Hills. You didn't go to St. Bart's.
No.
So you're an honorary member of St. Bart's University, but you ain't. I understand. It's all good. We all can't go to St. Bart's University. It is what it is.
St. Bart's is good in basketball.
There you go. That said, when you read your stuff on DrewSchiaffino.com, and I tell everybody, go check it out. You'll see what I mean. It's hard for me, and we all change, so I get that. Look, my nickname in college was Too Hype.
Yeah.
Too Hype was not going to ever become a Republican. Too Hype is not because I had a high top fade and I was dancing like Kid and Play. I'll tell you right now, it was the hyper activity. It was Too Hype in Pittsburgh, and there was a lot of energy there. We all change. I get that. But when I look at your writing on your website, DrewJosefino.com, there's a level of seriousness and reflection that you have on the site and with your writing that it's a blessing, but also weird for me to hear you say, I didn't really do this when I was an athlete, so I'm almost like doubling and tripling down on this as an author. What was that transition like to go from that athlete to the type of author and writer that you're becoming now?
Like I said, when you do look back and reflect on, when you get older, everyone reflect on their life, which you could have done better at the time. And like I said, if I'd have took basketball, if I'd have been in the gym working hard, took it more serious, I'd have went further in life. And I look back, and I'm not gonna lie, every athlete, if they didn't go where they wanted, you still live with bitterness your whole life. That's how it is. So I think about I didn't take it serious, and now that's why I'm pushing hard with my writing and my media and putting this type of stuff out on the internet and stuff. I'm taking it more serious. And like I told you, since my the basketball didn't fully work out for me, I feel like I'm hungry, and I'm not gonna I'm gonna take what God gave me. I'm not taking it for granted. I'm gonna do what I have to do with this.
Well, that's my point, Drew, because there seems to be, and that's what impressed me.
Yeah.
Because I knew who you were.
Yeah.
I followed your career in high school. I mean, I'm older than you,
Yeah.
so it's not like I was fanboying you.
Yeah.
It's just like, look, you from Penn Hills,
Yeah.
you got all the
For
athletes.
sure, yeah.
I grew up in Penn Hills.
Yeah.
I know how that rolls.
Yeah.
We root for each other.
Yeah.
But I'm watching how you're writing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching the reflection that you're having. And I think that there's a value there. And for me, and I want you to talk about this a little bit, because I think this is what is getting people really excited about the website.
Mm-hmm.
Your website has millions of views already, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been out there for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's been out there a little over 10 minutes,
Yeah,
which is very impressive. But let's talk a little bit about the approach to reflection that you've been able to have, considering all the different life perspectives. You're a dude that comes from a military family.
Yeah.
You traveled and landed in Pittsburgh, if you will. Then you made your roots here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Yes. Then you went right down the road, country roads, played down there, then played professional ball. But you've had all these different things that lead to the perspectives that you've had now.
Yeah.
As you reflect upon that, how do you think that influences your writing? Not necessarily your approach to writing, but the types of things you choose to write. How do you think all that kind of influences the type of topics you gravitate to now?
Because like you said, my father's in the military. I played overseas in 8 different countries. But my whole thing is, when you travel, you see the world differently. When you've been in the military, traveling helps you, your brain expand. You see the world differently. You judge people by their hearts. Not, a lot of people who never travel, they live in this small bubble. Outside of their bubble, they're very ignorant about it. So, traveling, seeing a different world, seeing different countries made me a smarter person. So I view the world a little differently than a regular person.
So, and it's interesting because another person that is very famous from Pittsburgh, Leon Ford.
Yeah.
Leon Ford went from a dude that didn't have, that much of a life perspective to now he's been doing it for almost 15 years. Yeah. And he talks about that all the time, the ability to be from Pittsburgh, to be African-American from Pittsburgh. And let's just be real, we didn't grow up super, super, super poor, but we didn't grow up rich.
Yeah.
You're that working class, middle class kind of vibe in Penn Hills, and Leon's from the East as well. There's a different perspective when you see the world coming from our backgrounds. And although, three of us have three different types of backgrounds. Yeah. Leon came from a certain section of Garfield and other places there. You came from Penn Hills, but you came through the Penn Hills school system. I was one of those kids that was one of the first type of scholarship kids in high school. When you could still recruit kids in high school. I didn't say that out loud, but you heard me say that. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's it. But still working class, right? There's a different type of vibe coming from that when you get to both be of Pittsburgh, but not, you're from Pittsburgh, but not of Pittsburgh. You're African-American here, which is a different experience than being other folks from Pittsburgh. And then you get that chance to go outside of here.
Yeah.
Do you think that's part of the reason why people are connecting to your website so much?
I think people connect because they, over the time I've been on social media, so I've been that. I always had a little, a following because, I was an athlete. People knew me. So I think people listen and read my stuff because I'm an honest guy. I'm in the middle. I believe in right and wrong. So once you're telling the truth and people trust your word, they kind of respect your word. So every time I write something, they know I'm not talking from a biased standpoint. So I'm more. I just feel like when you're real and honest about stuff, people gravitate to that and like that.
Well, and it seems as though now, because of the content you're putting out, you're putting out a lot of content. Yeah. It seems as though people are gravitating differently. I mean, the books that you wrote were more about your life, or more about fiction. Mm-hmm. But now it seems like you're getting a different type of audience. Is that a fair assessment? And if it is, why?
No, it's a fair assessment. Like I said before, I went this way. People always had this perception of Drew Schifino. They thought was, the guy that had gotten an incident at WVU when I was coaching Still Valley. So people look at that Drew and perceive me a certain way. And then when they see my writing and see these books and see these articles and me giving people their flowers and just being a different type of person, it's, I get inboxes every day and people saying they love the transformation I am as a person. So they didn't really know me before, but they was going by what they read in the paper and just, that perception about me, I never liked it. That's another reason I started writing. Like, I got kids now, eventually we all pass away, unfortunately, but I don't want to leave a mark where people have this perception of me as being like a arrogant guy when I was the opposite. I just want to start writing so people see the real Drew, who I am as a person.
And I'm going to go to break after this, but the truth of the matter is, who you are should never stop evolving at 18, 19, 20 years old. If it does, that's a tragedy. Now, let's just be honest. There's a whole lot of people in the world that have stopped evolving at 18, 19 years old. But you have been able to show through DrewSchifino.com that that's not the case for you. So when we come back, I want to continue that conversation because seeing that evolution has shown people a lot of that in ways that are garnering a lot of different views to the point where now you're getting some local attention on what you're providing, and that's even broadening the platform even more. So hang tight. I'm going to continue to talk to Drew Schifino. You know him, you love him from Penn Hills and West Virginia. But now, DrewSchifino.com is providing you a different perspective on the man and his mind. We're going to continue that conversation when we come back here on News Radio, KDKA.
Your source for the AccuWeather forecast. Hear it on News Radio KDKA.
Here's a World Soccer Championship Team Spotlight, brought to you by the first ever Infiniti QX65 and by Lowe's. Members get more at Lowe's.
Germany is in rebuild mode, but never count them out. A tenacious central midfielder drives the engine room while young forwards bring speed and creativity. Their tactical discipline and tournament pedigree remain formidable.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
Talking to Drew Schifino. Go to his website, DrewSchifino.com. And so, again, this is what caught my attention. I'm going to go into this. I'm going to go from elsewhere because you've caught other people's attention as well. When I see the first couple of articles on your website, I'm like, he's talking about athletes. Yeah. Of course he's talking about athletes because he's an athlete. Yeah. That's all cool. I remember this one. I remember that one. And I go back and forth from there.
Yeah.
But this is what made me go, oh, and then start reaching out to folks and saying, do you have his number? Can I try to catch up to him? It's this. Much like Damon Young, who I've also talked about, love, talk about Damon Young. Whatever Doesn't Kill You Makes You Blacker, his book that came out, and I believe, hard to believe it was 2019 that book came out. And Writing for the Root and other places, Very Smart Brothers, etc. To see the different perspectives that y'all then diversify from. It's like, yes, I'm still the athlete. I still would whoop your tail on the court, but I can still think these are perspectives I have. One article you wrote, you talked about, where is Penn Hills today? How do you improve Penn Hills? How do we improve things in the situation? Another article you wrote that people wouldn't anticipate, Drew, is, okay, I think it was Black Pittsburgh in particular, does the average black Pittsburgher really only make less than $30,000 a year. And again, you could be a 45, 46-year-old baller that just talks about ball.
Yeah.
And you just go coach. That's a profound question to ask, particularly as someone that's lived around the country, somebody that's lived around the world and says, oh, this is what functional poverty looks like. Yeah. How do we move this along? What made you dive into a question like that about black Pittsburghers and how much they make versus others in the region? Why would you even consider that question as part of a website that also talks about great running backs and great basketball players?
No, I'm all over the place with topics, but I'm like I said, I like to read and write. But I always on Facebook, Twitter, you always see that question about black Pittsburgh and the money they make and stuff like that. And it's two different. Like I feel like in the country, it's two different sides of the world. Is Pittsburgh's booming, but is it booming to the black Pittsburgh? I always felt like black Pittsburgh look at Pittsburgh different from the white Pittsburgh. So I was intrigued by that. I want to do articles that intrigue people because, coming from Drew Shafino to basketball, they're not, like you said, no one's expecting me to write that. So when I write about a topic like that, write about a topic about Penn Hills or a crime topic about a missing person or an unsolved homicide, people like, I love it. That's the Drew I want to hear. I don't care about the sports. I don't care about the sports. So I want to be diverse with my topics and just talk about everything. Like I told you, I like to read and write. So just want to be very just. I just don't want to talk about sports. That's just not me. I want to talk about, like I told you, my first love is the crime, forensic and stuff like that. So I love talking about stuff dealing with crime.
Well, that's a range, right?
Yeah.
And so that range actually attracted a sponsor already to your website, which when I saw the announcement, first thing I said was, man, I must have taught him everything he knows when we had that meeting at Starbucks. Yeah. But then I'm just kidding, Drew. That's the thing that was impressive about that was they recognized this range from this dude that most people know as like this baller.
Yeah.
So to me, what are local businesses, do you think, what are they getting out of what you're writing to already get a sponsor for your website and have others lining up? What do you think is that secret sauce that you're coming to the mix with in regards to what you're writing now and what you're focusing on now?
It's all like positivity. My whole website is all positive, and just if you give good energy, I feel like good energy comes back to you. So a lot of people are like seeing these topics, and just I'm doing a Q&A with people. A lot of people don't have the opportunity. I had the opportunity. I wrote my book, so I told my story. A lot of other people don't have that opportunity to tell their side of the story, just what they overcame and been through. And even they have a local business, and that's my platform is for that, to give people's attention and give them, that visibility, because I got a big following. So I'm trying to help people out with that.
What do you think people get out of your second act story? I talk a lot about second acts.
Yeah.
And let's just be real. I mean, this is actually more than a second act review, because one could make the case that, well, he could have dropped off the face of the earth after West Virginia.
Yeah.
And that happens to
athletes. It happens to people a lot.
But you didn't have that.
Yeah.
You did have a professional career.
Yeah.
You were at least able to do that. So that's a second act in and of itself.
Yeah.
This is a completely different second act that people are following. What do you think is inspiring people about your second act where people are on the website? And look, I see it. I see the traffic on Facebook. I see the traffic on the website. I see the comments. I see the different types of things you're talking about. I see you got to be along for the ride. You're almost like a roller coaster in the sense that if you're expecting it to just go down one track, it's going to whip you to the left all of a sudden. It's going to whip you to the right. You're going to talk about a football player we hadn't talked about in 30 years. You hadn't brought up Tommy Tumbleton, who I played with, but I digress. I'm just giving you some.
No, he's one of the go-to pounds, though.
There you go. But one moment you're there, then you're talking about the economy. Then you're talking about a missing person that the mystery wasn't solved in over 30 years of a murder here. Then you're talking and doing a Q&A. If people are willing to follow along the track, they get to see the fullness of who you are. How do you think that's inspiring other people to kind of step back, especially during times where we're divided?
Yeah.
Giving them a chance to step back and say, let's talk about your fullness too. Let's talk about your completion too. And let's have more robust type of interactions and conversations.
Like I go back to lot of why I'm getting a lot of traffic is because people did, like I said, people had this perception of me though. So when they see this writing now, it's like it's catching people off guard. Like, damn, he can he's not what I thought he was. So off the back, they're liking that anyway. But like I said, the whole thing was just I'm finally doing something. You know, basketball. I didn't love basketball, but I happened to be good in basketball. So basketball wasn't my first love. My first love, like I said, was just the criminal justice, like the DNA and stuff like that, and also like I said, writing and reading. That was my first love. But I feel like I can, as a grown man, I'm done with basketball. I'm in another chapter of my life, and I can do what I want to do.
Can we vibe on that for just a second before we go to break? Because there are a lot of African American boys that are athletes now.
Yeah.
That have also been told in their lives, on their journeys, that what you talked about as being the first love shouldn't be their first love. Have you had an opportunity to talk to those boys or boys like them, or even whether it's through social media or in person, and tell them, look, you could still be 20 a night, 25 a night, but that can not be your first love. You could still have your first love be science, first love be writing, first love be journalism.
Yeah.
But you can still do ball. You could still do baseball, football, basketball, track, boxing, whatever it ends up being. Because it's fascinating that people would not think that about you.
Mm-hmm.
But as you well know, there are going to be kids that are 17 years old right now that aren't thinking the way you're thinking now.
Yeah.
They're thinking about how you and I used to think. I mean, for me, it was baseball.
Yeah.
We didn't think about being a totality of a person.
Yeah, I agree.
Have you had a chance to talk to youth about that?
I talk to youth, though, but it's always you could talk to 100 youth people, as long as they connect with one person, though, because everyone's not going to listen.
Yes,
every kid good in high school think they're going to Division I, and every Division I player think they're going to the league, going to the NFL, NBA, and actually your first love is usually whatever you like besides your sport is usually what you're going to be
when you grow up,
though. Like I tell people, go to college, take it serious, because most of the time they don't want to hear it, but the truth is most of them guys aren't going professional. So you're there to get a free education, get your degree, try to get your master's degree, and go to college, do something you love besides your sport. And I do tell kids that, but I can't make them, sometimes they go in one ear, out the other ear. So,
but it's the repetition, right, Drew? It's the
you
fact
keep
that
doing
if
it.
you told them and another person told them.
Yeah.
It's that, to me, the power of you saying it on these airwaves of News Radio KDKA is the fact that you weren't like 3 points a game on the end of the bench as a senior.
Yeah.
So for you to say that has a different type of resonance in regards to take this seriously, take it from somebody that was doing their thing, take it from somebody that got paid to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about the percentages of people that got paid to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That percentage, that ain't 25, 30, 40% people that play. So that's a dream come true regardless. When I come back after the break, I have some more questions for you, primarily about how you're growing into a civic voice. Because we're talking about you as an author, and that's great. But there's something different about once you start being an author, people want your opinion on other things as well.
Yes.
And there's a different type of obligation with that. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that attire you have on here in the studio. But we'll get to that as well. Coming back after the news here on News Radio KDKA.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking, the list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We asked parents to share their journey of adopting teens.
They changed who I am because I can't see life without them in it.
Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
News. I'm Mike Dubusky. Lawmakers are remembering Lindsey Graham today, who passed away suddenly overnight at the age of 71. President Trump calling into NBC's Meet the Press earlier today.
But I thought he was just going to live forever, and it didn't work out that way.
Meanwhile, Democrat Cory Booker saying this in a video posted to social media.
I will miss my perhaps most unexpected friend in the Senate, and someone with whom I got some good things done.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster is expected to appoint a temporary replacement for Graham in the coming days. Meanwhile, tensions are escalating in the Middle East again. The U.S. conducting a new round of strikes on Iranian targets today, according to a U.S. official. The targets included Iranian air defense systems and small boats around the Strait of Hormuz. And severe weather alerts are in effect for Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia once again today. This is ABC News.
Colin Dunlap on KDKA.
So this is a hot dog, a glizzy, but bigger. It's a hot dog, but it's a bigger hot dog. So they're calling it the Big Glizzy.
Is it glizzy or gleazy? You keep screwing me up.
I'm sorry. The Big Glizzy today. he was.
This may be the first time Skeen's ever had a glizzy.
Weekdays 2 to 6 on the Voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
Alex Goen patented hypnosis. Lose weight, destroy cravings, late day binges, stress eating, no hunger, no willpower. Only $59.99 or your money back. In town July 23rd. Sign up at alexgoen.com. That's alexgoen.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside, and just last year, I made nearly $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like extra cash, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill your tank. Use promo code CHIEF to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CHIEF for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code CHIEF for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Here's the latest from the KDKA Community Message Board.
Looking for an incredible Pittsburgh fresh-made hoagie? Visit Tim's Corner Market in Beachview. Fresh, house-made bread stacked high with the finest meats and premium toppings and packed with Pittsburgh flavor. The hoagie you didn't know you needed at Tim's Corner Market on Broadway Avenue in Beachview. It's the weekly program that keeps you current with the latest travel trends and vacation values. Listen to AAA's Talking Travel every Saturday morning at 11 on KDKA Radio. March of Dimes, it starts with Mom PA Military Shower, helps pregnant military families have one less thing to worry about with a fun, informative, and free baby shower, Saturday, August 22nd at the 316th Sustainment Command. If you're pregnant and you or your partner are an E6 or below active duty, reserve, or veteran military service member, call 412-506-8610 to join them.
Details at KDKA-radio.com.
Join Rob Pratt every Sunday at 11 a.m. for Black and Gold Sunday, presented by Coons Market, your hometown Pittsburgh grocer. Rob keeps you posted on Pittsburgh sports with 2 hours of exciting talk. That's Black and Gold Sunday, 11 to 1, presented each week by Coons Market.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon, warm and humid, high 86. Partly cloudy this evening, then clear later tonight, low 67. More sun than clouds tomorrow, quite warm and humid, high 88. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
I'm talking to Drew Stefano. Go to his website, drewstefano.com. We got to talk about the shirt and hat. But in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I'm going to rep WVU. What are you talking about? Listen, I told you, I think I may have mentioned this to you. So you know my cousin B-Mac.
Yeah.
Who played at Duquesne.
Yeah.
I think I told you that his dad is part of that whole Country Roads thing.
Yeah, WVU.
So every time I think about that, look, I know Missy McCoy went there. I know you went there. I know others have gone down there. I know Mike Logan went down there. There's major. Look, I got to be honest with you. Aside from my cousin, who made me a really big West Virginia dude, right? I was also a Major Harris dude. Yeah. What do you know about your heritage with Major Harris? Before we get back to your book and get back to all the wonderful things you're doing, what do you know about your heritage with Major Harris? I'm putting you on the spot, Mr. West Virginia.
No.
You repping. I'm putting you on the spot.
I know as
what
a
you
kid.
Know about Major Harris?
No, it's just, as a kid, you didn't know nothing about West Virginia. So when Major Harris went to Brashear City School, once he went to WVU, Pittsburgh people actually became WVU fans. But Major Harris, he's the GOAT. He's one of the GOATs of WVU, and he's a Pittsburgh kid.
Yes, he
from the
is.
Hill.
Dude, I remember him. So he was. So, all right, so we were talking about it's funny. So, yeah, we're athletes. Sorry. He's more of an athlete than I am, but we're talking athletes. And we were talking about how, particularly during that era, you were stacked up. Everybody had somebody to look up to, somebody that you tried to be like. Two of my guys, because I was a black quarterback, right? Yeah. So, one was Major Harris, and I still remember Major Harris clips of seeing him dunk on people with two hands in high school. And the other dude was another dude that could jump out the gym that played quarterback in high school, but then ended up playing wide receiver in college and eventually in the pros was Terry Smith.
Okay.
So Terry Smith went to Gateway. He was 2 years ahead of me. Mm-hmm. So those are the two dudes that I looked up to. So back to West Virginia, you talk about my cousin who played football down there in the early 80s when they used to be independent. Y'all were Big East, right? You played Big East,
Big East,
right?
yeah.
So this is before then. He ended up playing when they were still independent, when Penn State was still independent, Pitt was still independent, Boston College, Syracuse. That's when, Northeast football.
Yeah, Northeast football still,
Yeah. So I remember them beating Boston College when Flutie was on the team. And, just the memories of my dad and my late uncle, B-Mac's grandfather, going down to West Virginia to go see my cousin, B-Mac's dad, play for West Virginia. Those are some good memories from the early 80s. And so then to see the pipeline come through, y'all were just another example of just seeing Pittsburgh excellence go down there. So I tip my cap to you, kind sir, for being part of that, because whether, we talk about the writing or not, you still have a role in that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you, so Drew has a tendency to give people their flowers on his website, and that's really, really cool. But I'm going to give Drew his flowers right now. You're still part of that. Whether somebody tried to give you shade or not. Yeah. You're still part of that pipeline. You still have things to stand on and be proud of. And I don't want you to ever, regardless of this second act and wherever it goes, I don't want you to ever put aside those accomplishments, because that is part of what got you to where you are right now.
Yes.
And that is something to be proud of, kind sir. So Hat tip to you before we continue on.
No, I just want to actually doing the flowers is probably my favorite thing to do. Give players their flowers, especially coming from. I had a great career too, so you don't expect someone, give someone like me giving someone flowers, but every time I do it, people love it. That's probably my most views. And the funny thing is, you remember Aaron Gatton? Mm-hmm. Aaron Gatton went to Penn State from Wash High. I did an article on him today, and he inboxed me. I never met him, never talked to him.
Crazy.
He appreciated that. Growing up, I'm seeing him in there, one of the top wrestler in the state, D1 football player, a track star, winning 100, and it's like, I'm gonna keep it one and keep it real though. Back then, you looking at that's a white kid doing that.
Yep,
a white kid beating everyone in track, beating LeVar Arrington, running back good. And he's a wrestler, so he was. I figure like he's one of the greatest athletes around here, and he appreciate what I did because he know. As you get older, a lot of the younger generations forget about it because we didn't have the internet back then.
And there's no internet.
Yeah.
There's no texting. There's no Instagram or anything else. And on top of that, man, I mean, you bring it up. We were less integrated as a society.
Yes.
I mean, people forget that. I'm not going to name the name of the station, but there was a time when you were listening to pop music and it was like, okay, you're going to get 2 quote-unquote white songs, then you're going to get a quote-unquote black song. I was watching a documentary and was reminded that MTV used to have a hard time playing black artists in the 80s.
Yeah.
They didn't want to play Billie Jean.
Yeah.
They didn't want to play Beat It, which is crazy when you think about that and how much, those videos transformed the industry. So when you start looking at sports as well, it's the same exact way. We were not inclined to know about these stories. We were more kind of put off into our own segments. And so you hear about these myths until you had the chance to possibly play against them maybe in the playoffs. And particularly for us in the East, I mean, we knew about kids from Gateway. Yeah. We knew about Woody High. By the way, I'm old enough to remember when there wasn't a Woody High, so that really tells you how old I am.
Churchill and everything,
There you go. But Plum, Penn Hills, Gateway, Woody High, Central Catholic. I mean, you had these great rivalries there, so you knew about those athletes. But the moment you went to the north or the south or the west, it was like maybe we play them in the playoffs, maybe not. So to that point, to be able to give people their flowers and say, listen, stuff that we took for granted, that we can't do no more.
Yeah.
I mean, I coach baseball, right? Yeah. I used to be able to throw hard.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to throw batting practice no more. You could shoot a jump shot, I'm sure, still. But if I asked you to go do a reverse dunk on somebody that got you by 3 inches, you're going to look at me and be like, I like my knees. I'm not doing that no more. Yeah. It's different to get the flowers now. I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to get into the civic voice that you're creating for yourself. I'm talking to Drew Schiaffino. Go to his website, drewschiaffino.com. What made you decide to do that?
Like I said, before, like, this generation's a little different now, but before us, I knew everyone before me. And I respected it. Like I said, people don't even read the paper no more. Back in the day, we read papers. Like a kid from, a kid from Upper St. Clair, Mount Lebanon, from a way different side from our area, the East, you only see his name in the paper. So you never knew who he was, though. Bingo. You had to go to the game. And funny thing about it, I did a story on me and my brother coming up. We're from Penn Hills, so Penn Hills is a very, everyone knows Penn Hills has a lot of Italian kids.
It's very diverse.
It's very diverse. So my AAU coach said before he came and saw me and my brother, he saw Jake Schiaffino and Drew Schiaffino on the paper every time we played, scoring 20, 30s, and they kept seeing it. So they said, we got to go check these two brothers out. And when they the whole time they thought me and my brother were.
They didn't think you were brothers.
No,
they thought you were Italian.
They thought we was Italian. They thought we was Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. They got to the game and saw, Terrell and Tyrone. So they get to the game and see two black Italians. They said it was the wildest thing. They never had that. The perception was two Italian kids out there. So I told that story, and a lot of people don't know that story. That's how powerful the newspaper was. Newspaper was our social media back then. So people don't understand that's what we went through. So, nowadays they got, YouTube, you got Twitter, you got Facebook, IG. So all the stars, all the players now. So it's a little different from how it was back in the day.
Speaking of social media and what you're doing now, part of what's going on with writing, and this is what happened to Damon, because when Damon started writing, and people don't realize this, Damon was a struggling artist that was very, very real and vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's one similarity I've seen. You're willing to be vulnerable with what you're writing, and I commend you for that. The other thing is he was willing to be very, very Pittsburgh and be very, very specific and go from there. But then the third thing that happened, and this is what I want to talk to you about proactively and get your perspective on it. Damon started becoming the civic voice where not only could he kind of be satirical about himself, be vulnerable about himself, but then all of a sudden he can do that, make you laugh, make you feel good, and come into him, and then boom, hit you with real perspective, real analysis, real thoughtfulness that made you go, oh, this dude's real. This dude's deep. This dude's smart. This dude's talented. You know, I would like to see you grow into the same thing. And what I'm noticing in how you're writing and your approach to it is you're becoming not just a writer or just an author. You're now becoming a civic voice because you're using that tool much the same way Damon Young did. You know, have you given that thought in regards to, okay, man, I didn't realize so many people would pay attention. I knew people knew me, but I didn't realize people knew me like that or followed me like that. And now I'm growing into something more than just somebody that's writing something every day. I'm growing into somebody that people are paying attention to for my opinions, and it could influence the community for the better.
Yeah.
What's that been like as you've thought about it?
It's been weird because, like I said, when I first started my website, and obviously I was an author, then my website, I just was doing it for fun. I said, let me get a website and just, it's more like treated like a blog. So get the website, dropped a few articles, and I started getting all these views on my website and all these shares on Facebook. I'm thinking like, man, I looked it up. It said the first month for views is good between a new website person is between 500 and 1,000 views. My first article I did the first day got, 3,200 views. So I'm like, man, like people's reading my stuff and taking my word and taking my opinion serious. So at first my website only been up for 6 weeks. So this is like a brand new thing. Exactly. So now I'm realizing people's respecting my opinion and taking and reading my stuff. So at first I wasn't looking at it different, but now since it's new, I'm like what you just said, I'm viewing my website and looking at what I put out. Want to be careful what I put out because people do respect my opinion, and it's different. It's changed the game now.
I would think so. Now, I want you to think about this as I go to break. I'm going to come back after break and continue this conversation with Drew Schiaffino. Go to drewschiaffino.com. Check out what we're talking about. But I want you to chew on this question because this is what I want to come back with. I want you to tell me what you think the obligation is now for you because you started writing with one purview. Now you're writing with a different purview. You know the numbers. You know who's paying attention. You know how you're impacting people. I want you to talk a little bit about what the obligation might be for you now as a writer because, A, there's you and how it impacts you, but there's also on top of that, B, how you're influencing the next generation being who you are, the dude that played ball professionally, the dude that's tatted up, but the dude that's also repping his university but also repping online. So I want you to think about that. We're going to continue the rest of this hour with Drew Schiaffino. Come back here after the break here on News Radio, KDKA.
When you need to know, depend on the news leader. At home, in your car, or at work. The voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM, AM 1020, and KDKA-radio.com.
Wedding anniversary with a Florida family vacation. The intense August heat prompted me to share a story with my grandkids about working my first job as an assistant golf pro in my early 20s. I earned $2.10 an hour and was thrilled when I found a great pair of work shoes for only $7. They were injection molded plastic. Even the stitching was plastic. I felt like I'd hit the jackpot with those fine-looking shoes. That was until I was teaching a golf lesson on a hot summer day when standing on the tee, I felt my feet burning up and realized my shoes were literally melting onto the grass. I suddenly realized why they'd been such a bargain. Remembering times like those make me appreciate the journey of my life. At Botkin Family Wealth Management, we're interested in hearing your story because understanding your beginnings is an important part of appreciating what it took to get where you are today. Visit us at botkinfamilywealth.com.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC.
Drew Schiaffino here on News Radio KDKA, hometown guy, basketball local legend and played professionally as well. But we're talking about his website, drewschifino.com, that's getting a whole lot of love these days. But I want to start with that question because that's important to me. And maybe it's a good radio question to ask, if you will, but I'm asking black man to black man. Yeah. I'm saying, look, you see that your profile is growing in a different type of way. Your influence is growing in a different type of way. And what you thought you were doing initially has grown into something different. What do you think about the obligation of how to write and what to write? Because now, let's be honest, Drew, I mean, even what you write now, you have to think about differently. Whereas before you might have been like, I want to write about these 10 athletes.
Yeah.
Now, even how you choose your content, I have to imagine that that's changing a little bit too, because you know these numbers. What's the obligation to being a growing civic leader? And people think civic leader like a politician, but civic leader is just leader, influencing opinions, trying to change things for the better. Your website is positioned to be the next thing that does that around here in a very organic way. Yeah. Have you thought about that? What do you think the obligation is henceforth for that?
No, I just thought about, like you said, I'm getting a lot of views and a lot of people taking my opinion serious and respecting it. So you could, like, I'm just giving what people want to hear and stuff like that. But I think people trust me because I'm a small media outlet. I'm not the big time people. So like my whole thing in life, if you're real, people's going to respect you from that. So my whole thing is be authentic, be real. We live in a social media world. A lot of people put on a front and an act. And eventually when you put on a front and an act, you're going to get exposed anyway. So if you're real, you got nothing to hide. So I'm just real, I'm honest, and I'm a fear. People love fear people. When you're fear, people respect that from all walks of life. I got people who, people from the live in a rural area, like a small West Virginia, they inbox me and respect my article, respect my opinion where I come from. You're a fair guy, though. So I'm just be honest, real, and just fair, and people respect that.
As a writer and as a public figure that's writing your thoughts, it's different than basketball. You play sports, you can hide behind a persona. I mean, I was a sensitive guy in a lot of ways in college, but I threw hard, so I would glare at you on the mound and would just be like, what are you thinking? I mean, you know what that's like. It's different when you're doing this. How do you show people how to get comfortable with the vulnerability that you've shown as a writer and then allow other people to learn from that? Because the bottom line is, here you are being a different type of role model. Yeah. I mean, you were a role model as an athlete, but this is different, and now you're being positioned to be a role model here. How have you gotten used to the vulnerability as a writer and then showing people how to be vulnerable so that we can improve things through our vulnerabilities?
I'm just showing people you could always be yourself, though, and just follow your dream, follow your hope, like that. With that, but taking it back to your question, I don't even know how to put it about what was you saying?
The vulnerability. I mean, the more you write, the more they're getting. Here's what I think is cool and fascinating, and maybe you don't give yourself enough credit for it, but maybe you should. The more you write. The more people get to know a Drew Schifino that people didn't get to know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And the more they get to know that Drew Schifino, and you're being true, and you're being real, and you're being thoughtful, and you're being truthful, the more cachet you're building up for people to trust you and listen to you. And that builds your civic voice even more. And like I said, I mean, anybody that's read Damon Young stuff, Damon's very vulnerable. Yeah. And again, he's a former Division I basketball player. You don't expect that from him. Yeah. He's generally a quiet person from what I've known of him. Yeah. But then when you read his stuff, you're like, wow, you're kind of in your own way. You're not Damon Young, but you're Drew Schifino. Yeah. So in your own way, you're doing that in a different type of way. What has that been like to keep being that way, being vulnerable and growing that?
It's funny though, because like people think of the cocky Drew Schifino playing basketball, the arrogant guy, dude with the tattoos, and look at me at the basketball. So when they see me writing, they looking at like, what is it? What do Drew know about the Black Pittsburgh with the
exactly.
the port? Like what did they know about him writing about a missing person that happened in 1991? Like
In a thoughtful way.
A thoughtful way, though.
You know what they think, right, Drew?
Yeah.
They think that's the Italian Drew Schiavino writing, not the black dude I'm talking to on the air right now.
I catch people off guard when I write, though, so you never know what you're going to get, and I think that's what people love, though. They don't want to see the same stuff, so I'm getting that traction because tomorrow I might write about, a missing person that happened 30 years ago. The next day, write about a basketball coach. Then the next day, talk about a pastor. So I'm hitting everybody, and I think that's what people like, the real and just bringing different and just bringing different articles every day. Just you never know what you're going to get with me.
Where do you want this to go, Drew?
At first, like I said, I did it that was my hobby, just to write. I love writing, but now since it's taken off, I don't really have a goal in this because I don't know where it's going to go. I want it to be big and want people to be this media outlet that people trust and go to me because people got to trust you for you to do the article on them. So, like you said, did the Penn Hill School Board, the president of the school board, no one thought I would do something like that. About to do the mayor of Penn Hills, no one. What do Drew know about politics and stuff like that? So, to me, my perception is changing. I think my perception is changing with people. They thought they knew who Drew Schiavino was. I'm giving them a reason to know the real Drew. So that's writing and doing my website is showing people who I really am.
So, first of all, go to drewschiavino.com. Second of all, I had a Penn Hills legend that just reached out to me because I'm talking to another Penn Hills legend. I'm not going to tell you who it is on the air. I'll tell you when we get off the air. But that's the power of drewschiavino.com, everybody. You got to go to the website. One final question. First of all, thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed doing this. I really
appreciate you.
I do really mean what I say in regards to I think that you can be that next thing
appreciate that.
And the question I have for you is both a question and a comment, if you will. And I'm going to wrap it into the same thing. What people are called to do by God, they all look different, they all feel different, and they all have their own role.
Yeah.
I'm giving you advice, but it's going to also be the question, which is, don't ever try to be you and I talked. And the amount of time that you and I have gotten a chance to know each other, we've always talked about we're just going to be ourselves, and you should do that. But the bigger that your civic voice grows, and the more that this website grows, there's going to also be more pressure for you to kind of tweak that formula. One, I'm advising you as a child of God and as an older black man, don't do that. Keep to yourself because that's the secret sauce that has people coming to you. But also, I'm going to ask you, what do you think? We got about a minute. What do you think is the most important thing you got to do to keeping being yourself as you continue to grow in this lane?
When you're always honest and real and just fair, I swear, I think that's where you get people from all walks of life to respect that. People respect your opinion because you're not biased now. So like you said, I'm always a fair guy, and I do have people on each side want me to go to the other side. I'm talking about, this country's so divided with right and left wing, though. So me being a black guy on a certain topic, I'm supposed to defend the black person because they're black. And like I said, I don't care if you're black, white. I don't care about your race, your religion, your political affiliation. If you're wrong, you're wrong. So I'm a fair guy, though. I judge you it's right or wrong. So I feel like at the end of the day, people do respect that type of person right there, an honest person. They can go to your opinion and say, he's a fair guy. He don't have an agenda. He's not biased towards anything. And I think that's a lot of people's trusting me with my word because they see the fair guy and see the guy who, like I said, you're right or wrong, in my opinion, in life. I don't care about, I'm not going to defend you because you got the same political views as me or the same races. I'm never going to defend that. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right.
Dig it. Listen, everybody go to drewschiavino.com. Check out his work. Pick up one of his books. You've written 5 books. Is it 5
books? Yeah, 5 books.
He's written 5 books. Pick up a book. Check out the website. Continue to follow the wonderful content that he's putting out there. He talks about a little bit of everything. Drew, I expect great things from you, man. That's why I had you on. I
appreciate you. And like I said, when we first met, great energy. We kind of we think alike. So, we hit it off real well with meeting. And I appreciate you bringing me on the show, giving me on your platform to talk about my platform. I appreciate that.
Well, it's all good. Look, I expect great things from you, man, because you've done it over the years in different ways. This is just the next great thing that I think God's allowing you to do. So we will be continuing to follow up, and we're going to have to get you a change of attire because you can't keep coming on my radio show wearing all that black and yellow. I'm just kidding, of course. I am definitely a West Virginia fan. Drew, thank you for joining me here on News Radio
Appreciate
KDKA.
you.
Listen, folks, I'm going to open up these phone lines, 866-391-1020, after the news here on the one, the only award-winning News Radio KDKA.
The Big K Morning Show with Larry Richards.
This is the Big K Morning Show. I heard about this couple that hit their 50th anniversary, and
They're sitting on the front porch, and the wife says to the husband, "Honey, I'm proud of you." He said, "What?" He said, I'm proud of you." "What?" "I'm proud of you." He said, "I'm tired of you, too."
Weekday mornings 5:30 to 10 on the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall and Museum recognizes Pennsylvania's combat veterans who have received medals for gallantry. With this Hall of Valor moment, here's the Education Director of Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall and Museum, Tim Neff.
Private First Class Charles Allen Yoder of Allegheny County was awarded the Silver Star in World War II in Hahn, Germany on March 18, 1945. After taking cover from a barrage of heavy artillery fire in a barn, Yoder left the barn and crossed the lines of fire through exploding shells and found 2 wounded soldiers. He lifted one to his feet and escorted him back through the shell fire to the barn. He then went back for the second man when a shell exploded next to him, throwing him into farm equipment and knocking him unconscious. Private First Class Yoder managed to still carry the other soldiers safely to the barn despite being wounded by shrapnel and deafened by the concussion.
Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall and Museum reflects the valor and heroism that shaped this great country. Consider a tax-deductible donation. Visit soldiersandsailorshall.org for more information.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
KDKA and KDKA-FM HD2 Pittsburgh. W261AX Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100 points.
From ABC News. I'm Mike Dubusky. We're hearing from all corners of Washington and beyond today about the passing of Lindsey Graham. The South Carolina Republican senator died suddenly, with emergency crews responding to a cardiac arrest call at his house overnight. Delaware Senator Chris Coons describing Graham this way.
No better friend, no tougher adversary.
More from ABC's Martha Raddatz.
Graham was first elected to the Senate in 2002. He defeated primary challengers last month to secure the Republican nomination to serve a 5th term. The late senator earlier this year asked how he'd like to be remembered.
That I spoke up, shared my thoughts, creatively put together coalitions that moved the ball. I'm not about making speeches alone. I'm about putting networks together.
U.S. forces have launched a new round of strikes on Iranian targets as tensions around the Strait of Hormuz ratchet up once again. This renewed attack stems from an incident last week where Iran fired on a commercial vessel, with officials for the government claiming it was done by an errant part of the regime. But UN Ambassador Mike Waltz says he doesn't believe them.
We're supposed to believe that some junior officers are going rogue and firing on ships, but yet face no consequences from a dictatorial, hierarchy-based entity like the IRGC. I don't buy it. I don't think we buy it. And at the end of the day, where's the discipline and the public apology if that's the case?
Walt speaking on ABC's This Week. These latest American strikes, according to an official, were meant to degrade Iran's ability to target commercial shipping. The Summit fire in Los Angeles County is now 15% contained, and fire officials there are lifting evacuation orders for the area. And Jannik Sinner has won his 5th ever Grand Slam title at the Wimbledon tennis tournament. You're listening to ABC News.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Plumbers, today will be a good day. You will be profitable. Your clients will be nice. No one will stand over you and tell you how to fix the thing they actually hired you to fix. You will also feel at peace after switching to Progressive, America's #1 commercial auto insurer. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, #1 commercial auto insurer from the NAIC's 2024 National Premium Data.
Tickets for Kids will host the Dress Big Happy Hour on Wednesday, July 22nd from 4 to 7 p.m. in the Casamigos Club at PPG Paints Arena. Join sports celebrities and TFK's friends from the ticketing, nonprofit, corporate, and foundation communities for a silent auction, hors d'oeuvres, a cash bar, and the chance to play carnival games on the arena floor. For tickets, go to the events link at ticketsforkids.org.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Milo's Money Days are here, and we're making it rain for rewards members. For the first time ever, when you make a purchase of $200 or more through July 12th, you'll get up to $30 back in extra Milo's money. Not a member yet? Join for free today, because members get more at Lowe's. Milo's Money Award varies based on status. Members in Gold get 30, Silver get 20, and Bronze get 10. Milo's Money valid for 30 days. Restrictions and more terms at Lowe's.com/Milo's Money Days.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
Pittsburgh and Cranberry Township. Joseph Cordell. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
Times of sun and clouds, warm and humid this afternoon, high 86. Partly cloudy to clear skies tonight, low 67. Tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, quite warm and humid. Tomorrow's high 88. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
The following is an editorial by KDKA Radio Regional Vice President Michael Spacciapoli.
The full effects of the Parkway East closure will arrive Monday morning as thousands of drivers detour around the project to replace the Commercial Street Bridge. And even if the work stays on schedule, motorists in the city's eastern neighborhoods will have to adapt for over 3 weeks. The phrase, pack your patience, is likely to be repeated so often it may become a cliche. Drivers will be challenged to stay calm, especially in the first few days of the shutdown. PennDOT is advising motorists to use a tool at 511 PA to evaluate which detours to take and to do it before they get behind the wheel. Others will deal with the closure by taking a vacation or working from home. But if you're driving, remember KDKA Radio will provide continual traffic updates in the morning and afternoon for the duration. This can be called a short-term pain for long-term gain scenario. PennDOT is replacing another of the state's deteriorating bridges. Remember the collapse of the Fern Hollow Bridge? We don't want to repeat, so 25 days of detours and delays doesn't seem so awful.
This has been an editorial by KDKA Radio Regional Vice President Michael Spacciapoli. To view a transcript, go to kdkaradio.com.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
All right, got those phone lines open for you. Because that's what I do, like I told you. 866-391-1020. Enjoy Mike, enjoy Drew coming on the air. Different perspectives, different generations, like I mentioned as well. And they're part of the fabric of here, right? And I'm sure I'm going to get into some national politics and some other things that are going on. I did want to talk about somebody else I talked to earlier today. Somebody that I've been in the orbit of, a good friend of mine over the, hard to believe, but almost 20 years as well with this individual. I'll talk about that in a little bit. In the meanwhile, 866-391-1020, I shall open up the phone lines right now because there'll be a mutiny here if I don't do that. So that's what I'm going to do. Going to Dick and Dayton. Dick, you're on KDK.
Hey, Lonnie, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well, child of God. How are you?
Oh, I've done well. So I made my rounds today and talked to all my friends. I went to Bible study, and we stopped at one of the thrift stores down here. So I loaded up with some merchandise like in football and baseball and basketball. And I only spent about $6. How about that?
That is smart. Smart.
Now, are you a bargain shopper?
Whenever I can be.
Yeah,
Dick, I got kids. What do you think?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, Lonnie, I like the kids. You make your day. No, but it's nice. You know, you can get around these places, and people are so nice. And yeah, I know a few people here. Plus, the music's coming along good with my manager here. We have like 2 days a week, like hootenannies, and I come down every day and pick, buddy. How about that?
That sounds like fun, man. It sounds like fun. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I appreciate you calling as always. And it's something to be said about you being that first call of the show, Dick. Whenever you're the first call of the show, it just kind of sets the mood the right way. So I appreciate you doing that, kind sir.
Yeah, well, I'll keep in touch, okay?
You do that. You take care of yourself. Have a wonderful Sunday and a wonderful week, all right?
Okay, bye-bye.
God bless you. Listen, always enjoy talking to Dick. Always enjoy talking to Mike. And like I said, Mike and I have an opportunity to talk about a lot of this stuff off air. You all don't get a chance to see it. So it was really, really cool to talk to him for 45 minutes earlier in the show. And of course, Drew Schifino, you guys know him as a basketball star, both at Penn Hills High School as well as at West Virginia. I encountered him personally as a writer. So it's cool to be able to see the athletic career from afar, but then also subsequently after that, have an opportunity to talk about that next act. Now, I'll probably never get on the court with Drew. I did get a chance to both read Damon stuff, play ball with Damon, sit down and talk to Damon. We won an award together in 2016 with The Root in New York City. It's the first time I got a chance to meet him and talk to him. It is fascinating for people that have had really, really cool first acts and then go into a second act and then emerge into yet another act. I mean, it's really, really cool to watch that. Damon knows I root for him. We don't talk as much as we used to because we don't get a chance to play ball as much because I'm a man of a certain age. I ain't doing that no more. I like my tendons and ligaments being exactly where they are right now, and I'm in my 50s, and they wouldn't be if I continued to play, I don't think. But he knows I still root for him. And Drew Schifino is a kid that I not a kid anymore, but he was a kid that I would root for, watching all the highlights back in the paper back in the day. And so now to have a chance to root for him face to face, voice to voice, as an author, as an emerging civic voice. And it's funny because when you say that, people think you're kind of blowing smoke. But the way civic voices emerge these days, it's very different. And not just political voices. I said civic voices. Civic, touching community, touching culture, touching economics, touching, thoughtfulness, critical thinking. That's different than just a civic voice that's running for office or has a partisan bent to it. I do think that Drew is growing as a civic voice because if you look at the traffic he's getting and you look at the different things he touches and talks about, it is an amalgamation. It's, dare I say, a Venn diagram of different types of individuals that are gravitating to what he has to say about different things. And there's power in that. There's the ability to bring people together. There's the ability to be inspiring, make people think different ways, take different approaches to how they think, question why they think the way they do right now, question why things were the way they used to be. And should it go back to being that, or should it dramatically change from being that? There's power in that. And by the way, you know, and this is something I did write in my book, A Venn Diagram of One, An American Story. I talked about in the final chapter how historian Dr. Alan Gelzo would often tell people about Lincoln and say Lincoln came out of nowhere in many, many ways. Lincoln was unremarkable until he was remarkable. And there's value in that. There's purpose in that. And if you apply it to 2026 and beyond, that applies to the social media voices. That applies to emerging authors and the like. Now, the downside to that is too many of us have taken the obligation or the opportunity, not even the obligation. They have taken the opportunity to have a voice and have not taken seriously the obligation to be a civic voice, to be a unifying voice, to be a voice that is making things better. That's why I asked the last question I asked of Drew. I think he gets it. I really do. And I thought he got it when I talked to him at Starbucks. So that's why I was able to ask him that on the air. Civic voices get that obligation regardless of how they're using their civic voice, whether it's with a megaphone walking down Penn Avenue, whether it's what they write, whether it's an office that they occupy, whether it's speaking out after a sports interview. You know, you end up being a Major League Baseball player and you just say something profound 45 seconds after going 3 for 4 and driving in 5. There is an obligation to being a civic voice that I think he gets. That I know that, you know, and again, I know I'm talking about Damon Young a lot, but I read Damon Young when I get a chance to, and I see that he gets it. Yeah, no, he's also a humorist, and he's satirical, and I get that. And that's, you're allowed to be a full human being when you write. When you're out here publicly, you get the chance to be all of who you are, and I would not tell anybody not to do that. But you can also see, and I commend Damon for this as well. I commend Leon Ford. And I talked to Drew about this. There's something to be said about being black and from Pittsburgh and taking on the obligation to be a civic voice in an organic kind of way. There's value and a need for it. And I commend the ones that have already been doing it, and I challenge others that are on the rise to do the same exact thing because there's a need for it. You cannot heal the division without taking that obligation on seriously and actively and intentionally and regularly. Doesn't mean you have to be serious all the time, but you do have to be serious about the work, and the work has to be a labor of love. And I think Drew Schiaffino gets it. And I commend him for coming on today, News Radio KDKA. I advise you all to go to drewschiaffino.com and check it out. For somebody that's only had a website out for a short period of time, he is attracting a different type of high wind, if you will. But they say the tall trees attract high wind. So he's starting to do that. In the meanwhile, 866-391-1020. I see the phone lines lighting up. It's all good. I promise I will get to you all, but I need to get to break first here on News Radio KDKA.
News, weather, traffic, and business every day. Hear it on News Radio KDKA.
Here's a World Soccer Championship Team Spotlight, brought to you by the first ever Infiniti QX65 and by Lowe's. Members get more at Lowe's.
Belgium's golden generation has matured into seasoned veterans, headlined by a gifted attacking midfielder who orchestrates every move. The Red Devils bring technical quality and big game experience to every match.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Join Beth Andrews for the Net Worth Financial Hour Saturdays at 1 to get the news and information you need to make your retirement dream a reality. That's the Net Worth Financial Hour with Beth Andrews, Saturdays at 1. Net Worth Advisors, LLC is a registered investment advisor.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
All right, back to phone lines, 866-391-1020. Ross in Braddock, you're on KDK.
Good afternoon, Mr. McAllister. How are you?
Good afternoon, child of God. How are you?
Well, I'm mending. I'm home. I'm still mending. I'll be quick. Sometimes I can drone on. Did you get the mail I sent you?
I did not. I got to go look.
Okay. I said to someone when I asked, I said, well, okay. Just remember, I used my last John Lewis. So I figured once you see it, oh, he's coming. They said, yes. Okay. Yeah, just listening to your guest on the second act, Mr. Shapiro. I didn't.
Shafino, not Shapiro. Shafino.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I got politics on the. I'm sorry. Nope. Ooh.
It's no. I know. I gotta catch his back on the branding. That's all. I understand why you said Shapiro. I'm surprised I didn't say Shapiro because how many times we've been saying Shapiro this year.
Safino. Drew, as Lenny was saying, don't tweak. Don't. A question. Listen how I guess he sat in on a Penn Hills school board meeting.
No, he actually interviewed, I believe Aaron Vecchio, I think, is still the president of the Penn Hills School Board, and he interviewed her for a one-on-one interview on his website, which is what makes what he's doing pretty interesting, is the fact that he's kind of historian sometimes, cultural critic sometimes, sports historian sometimes, giving you his point of view sometimes, but then he'll also do a Q&A like that, which, I mean, for a guy that is not known for that, it's kind of like he's blogging, but he's a journalist, but he's a historian, but he's also keeping it real in a way that is not forcing to keep it real. I mean, some people are keeping it real, and it's like Dave Chappelle said, when keeping it real goes wrong, it's kind of like that. He's not doing that. He's keeping it right, not keeping it real and going wrong.
That's great. I'll move on to say thank you for taking my call. I am mindful that during my recovery, being a regular caller, I turned the dial up a bit. It helped me and turned a few people off. I get it. No problem. Maybe I'll try talking to each host just once a week. I'll try it. I'll see how that goes. But I'm looking forward to not having on my mind the fact that there were complaints even as recently as during my recovery. Sundays are now going to be a rejuvenation of Blog Talk because the host is younger? I can stay in my lane and not worry about that because you're taking up that mantle. And also in the fact of since I've been a regular caller, I never really thought about it seriously in that category, so from subject to subject. Some of us, just as regular callers, have tried to do advocacy from our lanes for many, many years. Squawk at you later.
Thank you, kind sir. Appreciate you as always. And look, I'm just going to be very direct. People know I love everybody. I will advocate for everybody, but very, very directly to that with Mr. Moore being gone, which, by the way, here's a nice little advertisement. I'm part of the class of 2026 for the Men of Excellence for the New Pittsburgh Courier. Honored to get that award. That is going to be August 21st when I win that award, along with others in the class of 2026. The really, really, really cool thing about that is the fact that the honoree of the night is the one and only Mr. Chris Moore. who is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award from the New Pittsburgh Courier for the work he did here on News Radio KDKA and elsewhere across our region for, he touched 5 decades. 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, the 2020s. He touched 5 decades in this region in the media. So they're giving him an award for that. Why am I bringing that up in light of what Ross said before I go to break? And then, look, I see the board line lit up. I'm going to get to, I promise, don't go anywhere. But I'm also buying some time so that as I bring you on, I don't have to, do lightning round, if you will. It's a really odd place to be in as an African American when you have a platform. Because if you don't talk about black issues, people think you don't think you're black. And there are some that do that. There are some black folks that I'm not talking about black, I'm here for everybody. And they eschew being black on a platform that was created for them to be able to speak to everybody, including African Americans. The flip side is there are people that will sit there and call into 866-391-1020 and say, why do you got to talk about black issues all the time? Everything ain't black and white. Some things are black and white. And by the way, if you really want to go down that dance, I will remind you that there's nothing in America that didn't have race impact. Not one. Not one public policy, not one public lane over the course of our history. So stop it. I don't talk about race all the time, but when you're African American, there is an obligation to talk about it enough where you show people that it's relevant. But the obligation truly is also to talk about it in a way to show how you can overcome those type of obstacles. You can overcome the worst in our history. You can still love people, work with people, bond with people while talking about it. That's what people don't do as well anymore. You have to talk about race and then talk about, hate to say it and sound cheesy, but got to also talk about we shall overcome. You got to talk about race, but also talk about it as not an excuse, but might be part of what's going on, but can't be something that you talk about forever. How do you get past it? You can't invalidate real experiences that white Americans go through, that women go through. You can't say that women don't go through sexism the same way that black people go through racism. Why are we having that conversation? Can we just get rid of all the isms? You can't sit there and say that poor people don't go through certain experiences. Well, you're poor, but at least you're not black. Why are we talking that way? Can we resolve the issues that people are going through? That's, to Ross's point, when you talk about racial issues, you have to talk about it in that lane, but also be mindful that the human condition creates obstacles for everybody. It just does. It's a very, 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 very minute number of people that don't have obstacles. Very minute. So as, dare I say, a leader, a civic leader, in this instance, one that's on the radio, I have an obligation to talk to those issues in a way that both highlight what's going on, but then subsequently show you the bridge. And Mike was talking about that during hour one, the bridge to get you to where you need to be, whether that's through public policy, through inspiration, through perspective, and the like. That is what I am trying to do here. And I'm mindful of being black. I'm also mindful of being Republican. I'm mindful of being an American. I'm mindful of being from Pittsburgh. I'm mindful of being, well, and it's funny because Drew and I were talking about this. You know, when you're from Penn Hills, there are people that don't think you're from Pittsburgh. You're from Pittsburgh. Sorry. There's how many municipalities in Allegheny County? They all claim they're from Pittsburgh, even if you're not from the city, which is very, very small in comparison to the rest of the state or Philadelphia. There's a way to talk to all these things and inspire people and encourage people and get people to the bridge and then to the other side of the bridge. Ross, I appreciate you bringing that up because that's what I try to do every single week. Every time I crack this microphone, every time I give a speech, which I'm going to be giving a keynote speech in Dallas. I'll talk a little bit more about that after the break. But regardless of when I have a chance to be on a platform, I take the obligation seriously. Because the only way you're going to fix the division, fix the problems, is taking the problem seriously and loving people enough, regardless of who they are and where they come from, loving them enough to take their problems, their concerns, their hurt seriously as well. Getting back to the phone lines after the break here on News Radio KDKA.
If you dread dealing with your insurance more than you dread yard work, with a swarm of hungry mosquitoes buzzing around, then you might have insuranoia. You should have NJM Insurance. They go to great lengths to do what's best for their policyholders.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside, and just last year, I made nearly $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like extra cash, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill your tank. Use promo code CHIEF to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CHIEF for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code CHIEF for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It's Marty Griffin. I have seen so much anger these days. You know what's overwhelmed me with joy and optimism? This Get Marty. The folks in this community that have stepped up. You can't help your neighbor if you hate your neighbor. Get Marty epitomizes that opportunity to help people, feed people, clothe people, educate people. If you need me, get Marty at KDKRadio.com. It's where we will find a way to help you.
Presented by UPMC Health System, Phil DeLuceni and Associates, Cousins Roofing, Siding and Decks, and by Harold Shepley and Associates.
Now that I'm retired, I'm worried about making ends meet. Food, medicine, and rent cost more every day. And that's why I used benefitscheckup.org. It connected me to an extra $1,000 a month. Benefitscheckup.org is a free service from the National Council on Aging. In a few clicks, older adults like me can see if they might qualify for money-saving programs. If you're on a fixed income, benefitscheckup.org might help you too. For free. Visit today.
Supported by the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
Mommy, how come I can't sit in the front seat?
Because I love you and you're just not ready yet.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. Longtime South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham died overnight at the age of 71. ABC's Jay O'Brien has what we're now learning.
Washington, D.C. EMS dispatched to Graham's home on Saturday night for a man in apparent cardiac arrest.
Cardiac arrest.
At 2 in the morning Sunday, Graham's office putting out this statement saying the senator died from a brief and sudden illness, adding Senator Graham's family appreciates prayers at this time and asks for privacy during this incredibly difficult period.
President Trump has ordered all flags be flown at half-staff this week to mark Graham's passing. More U.S. strikes on Iran today, targeting air defense systems and IRGC small boats around the Strait of Hormuz. The two sides have been trading strikes all weekend. Talks to end the war in Iran ended in Oman in recent days without a clear plan to peace. Good news for those impacted by the California wildfires. Crews there now say they've made significant progress on the Summit fire. This is ABC News.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life, your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. Pittsburgh and Cranberry Township. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
When it comes to affordable term life insurance, everyone's whistling the Big Lou tune. If you're over 50, maybe a bit porky, or have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost about $200 a month. Even if you're not in perfect health, call Big Lou, because he specializes in finding big chunks of affordable term life insurance for just about everyone. Don't let diabetes or other health glitches keep you from owning $500,000 to $1 million or more of term life insurance. For affordable term life insurance, call Big Lou. Don't hesitate. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or visit biglou.com.
Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Visit biglou.com.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon, warm and humid, high 86. Partly cloudy this evening, then clear later tonight, low 67. More sun than clouds tomorrow, quite warm and humid, high 88. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
All right, going back to the phone lines, 866-391-1020, going to the Bishop in the Denora on the KDK.
Congratulations on your honor, Brother Lenny.
Thank you.
I might even try to attend, since you said they're going to give Brother Moore a lifetime award. But I will be talking to Mr. Goff. There's a lot of great people outside of the Pittsburgh area who get the Pittsburgh Terrier that are deserving of awards and stuff. I see there's a lot of people in Pittsburgh vicinity, but there's a lot of people outside out there who deserve awards. But anyway, Mr. Senator Lindsey, late Senator Graham, sorry about what happened. Definitely praying for his family. I'm not shedding a tear. I said that on many posts. This guy worked untiringly for the plight of African Americans. And I got issues with that. The climate that we live in now, in rolling back civil rights, etc. Now, this is a guy, as you well know, he once couldn't stand Trump, but all of a sudden changed his values, and Trump couldn't do no wrong. Everything was 100%. And I have issues with it, maybe except for Ukraine. But anyway,
there's a lot of people that I saw on social media throughout the day before I came on the air. There's a lot of people. I mean, I saw one social media post. There's two things. I'll get to him and I'll get back, and then I'll back to you. One, first of all, the local thing. You know, you come up here for that award on August 21st. I still got to come down to Denora. We'll do a home and home. I told you I'd come down there for an event down there. I'm going to do that regardless. But it would be wonderful if you came up here for the dinner and got a chance to see Mr. Moore when he got his award. So keep that in mind. And for anybody that wants to come, it's a fundraiser for the Courier, but it's also an opportunity to see Mr. Moore once again. I'm looking forward to taking pictures with him and seeing him. Number two, in regards to Lindsey Graham, Brother Bishop, you know, there are people that literally started out their social media posts. It's gotten viral where they said, listen, he said in my obituary, use my words in my obituary against me if you need to. And so they literally said what you said. They literally quoted him from 2015, quoted him about Donald Trump from 15 and 16, and then after 16, it quoted him about 17 through, earlier this year. So I get why people are doing that. It's really cringy for me because I just don't want to do that. I mean, once somebody dies, I only want them to do one thing. I want them to go to the light. I don't really, I do care about what they did on this earth. It does have consequences and impact, and I get all that other jazz. But once you get to the other side of the veil, I want you to go to the light. That's it. Because I can't imagine the other alternative. I want nobody to go to the other alternative. So I understand why people wrote it. I understand why people feel that way. But that's just kind of where I sit when it comes to going on the other side of the veil.
Well, and I understand that, but I would tell you this one thing, and that's with this Nancy Mace. Hey, the man ain't been dead, 20 hours. and she's lobbying for the seat already. That's pathetic. And she got her clock clean down there, but she's lobbying to take his spot for the remainder of the term. Anyway,
and people do that politically, and that, I tell you what, that is the epitome. I hate to say it like this, but it's the epitome of the ick of American politics these days, where you got one set of people telling you if you don't say that you're interested, even now, you'll miss out on your chance because somebody will do it. But the flip side is there's no such thing as decency anymore. There's no such thing as, I'll figure out a different way to make this work if I need to. I'm just not going to be the first in the ick machine. But if you've been following Nancy Mace, she's playing by a different set of rules these days that, just have rubbed people the wrong way.
Well, she should be ashamed of herself. But anyway, the economy is in trouble. Brother Linda, I've seen more and more people out here, white, black, indifferent, are hurting out here. Besides not being able to take summer vacations, but just in general, I'm seeing a lot of people having problems as far as buying groceries, keeping a shoulder over their head. It's rough out here. And, for this president to be abusing the American taxpayers' money, ponds, statues, you name it, that has gone terribly wrong and has become excessively wasteful. Now, something has to be done. I believe the midterms are going to be a game changer. I believe a lot of places are in place. And I believe, and I told the party this yesterday, I believe Maine, at all costs for the most part, in my opinion, and I've been through Maine several times, and I'll quit with that, that they want Susan Collins out of there. What's your take on that? And I'll close with that. And, hey, look, I know we'll talk before then, but I'm looking forward, and I'm really happy that you're getting that award on the 21st.
Thank you, child of God. I appreciate you. I think people want new political blood. They're willing to take different than take better. I don't know if they're going to get better. I mean, Graham Plattner was not going to be better. He was going to be different. That's why people were willing to compromise as much as they did. Heck, that's how we got Donald Trump since 2016. They didn't think Donald Trump was a better politician than Hillary Clinton. They definitely thought he was a different politician than Hillary Clinton. And that's what they wanted. So I think that people are willing to have different, and I think that will mean that Susan Collins is out of there. In regards to the economy, I've said this previously. We're at a pace of under 100,000 jobs added per month throughout 2026. We're halfway through the year. We need, on average, I think 125,000 jobs added per month to just keep the pace of the population. So under 100,000 is not keeping pace. And then last year, we were under 10,000 jobs a month on average for the whole year of 2025. So we are underperforming now for a year and a half. We started a war that doesn't seem to have a resolution in sight, regardless of what the MOU said, because you see where we are right now. People are happy that gas prices are approaching $4 a gallon, coming back down, saying, hey, they're down to like $4.10, or they were until things started going back up again. But I mean, people forget that $4 a gallon gas is supposed to be driving you nuts, and it has been. That's not a good thing. We're not winning in Iran either. Something that was open waterways may never be open again. Or it will be open at a huge cost. The economy for the country, for the state, for the region has been slow. And it's interesting. I brought this up with Mike. So much of what we talk about when it comes to the economy is very much K-shaped. Wall Street ain't doing that bad. You got money, you'll have more money. If you were able to invest, you're going to have more money. If you're on the wrong side of that K, it is a greased slide. It is a wet slide. It is like a water park type of slide. It is wet, it is slippery, and it is steep. And that's what people are experiencing, the Bishop's Point. Do I think, and I'm going to say this, I'm going back to the phone lines, 866-391-1020. Do I think that the midterms are going to change a whole bunch of stuff all of a sudden? No. I think that the Democrats will take over the House. I think that the Senate will look interesting. I think that John Fetterman's going to become a Republican within the next 6 months. There's no way you can have a joint fundraising endeavor, call it bipartisan. Fundraising, for the pure purpose of fundraising is to raise money to get elected. You're telling me if it's 51-49 going into 2028, and they want that to be a Republican seat, that Fetterman's going to be able to access bipartisan fundraising money the same exact way? I know that you all are caught up in this story, but this should tell you something. Especially when Fetterman still votes with the Democrats a certain amount of ways. And so is McCormick with the Republicans. I know people feel really, really good hearing that they're being bipartisan, and they brought a Pennsylvania exhibit to America 250 when other states pulled out. Although it makes you feel good. I know it makes you feel good when they go do joint media appearances. Okay, that's fine. When you see that they're doing joint fundraising, and fundraising is for you to run for office, they're not joint fundraising to put money into a jobs program. If they did that, or if they do this with this money, great. It's not the impression I got. I could be wrong, but that's not the impression I got from this joint fundraising endeavor, which I believe is a PAC. But again, I got to look more into it. I can tell you my first impression of it. You all hear bipartisan, and you immediately get excited about it without even looking at the story. But I digress. I don't think anything's going to change, because I think the House will be taken over by the Democrats. We'll see about the Senate, and I think there will be impeachment proceedings immediately. This time it will be based on ICE, which there was another shooting in Houston, another questionable killing in Houston. It'll be based on Houston in Minnesota. It'll be based on other cities where ICE has shown up, including here. You'll see a lot of governors that are going to be running for the presidency in 2028 be part of those lawsuits. You'll be jammed up and gummed up with impeachment hearings, and just the same as what happened in 2019 when everybody was focused on the impeachment hearings over Ukraine, ironically enough, and COVID came here because nobody was paying attention. We're going to be vulnerable to another threat because people will be caught up in impeachment hearings. That's what I think is going to happen after the midterms. And leadership will be defined in partisan ways all over again, and the economy will look like this, and people will continue to get used to this. That's my concern. That's where I think we're going. I don't think anything's changing with the midterms, because we're not changing the definition of what statesmanship and leadership needs to be. And as a result of that, it's only going to be viewed through the lens of partisanship, which has not been working for us over the last several years. 866-391-1020. Coming back to Luciano, Dave, Mike the Millennial, and Ralph. But that's after the break here on News Radio KDKA.
When the weather turns bad, turn to us for the best news, weather, and traffic information from the KDKA Radio Storm Center. Presented by Duquesne Light Company. Larger than light. Online and on the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
Hey, want to do dinner with us tonight?
I don't know. The kids just left. I think we're just going to stay in tonight.
Oh, come on. Don't miss out again.
Miss out on what?
Catching up with friends. The sounds of winning. Celebrations. Endless laughs. And memories they'll never forget. Don't just hear about the fun. Time moves fast, so go have it. Rivers Casino. Don't miss the moment.
Let me tell you something about insurance. When you sign your insurance policy